Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is LolaAjisafe here. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about dating. Now, dating as an exercise, as an industry, it's a billion-dollar industry. Topic comes up all the time. Now, why is it so important? One, it eats up your time. Your time is priceless. Why are you wasting your time if it doesn't mean anything to you? More importantly, it could lead to your future. Whoever you're dating could lead to your husband and could be the DNA donor for your future children. So, of course, because for that reason alone, a lot of people put money and time into this. And so today I kind of wanted to break it down. It's 2022. What do we need to do differently? What should we have been doing when we hadn't been doing? And so today I'm going to invite my sisters with me, and we're just going to chop it up, break it down, laugh, kiki, and just talk about it. And then you guys, of course, at a certain time will jump in as well and tell me what you think. So I'm going to let my sisters in right now. All right. Hey, Abby, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks, sis. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you. I see Yetunde has dropped off, but that's okay. Okay, I see her. She's back. Hey, Yetunde, what's up? So, guys,
Hi.
these are two of my sisters. First one is Abby. Actually, both from LA. I was going to say she's from South Africa, but they're both from LA right now. And of course, my second sister, Christine, you've probably seen her one or two other times. Let's see, they both have strong opinions about everything. So the first thing I want to do really with us is kind of go into the first thing first is, when we talk about dating, what is dating like? How do we go about dating? Like, so I'm going to kind of throw some scenarios at you guys and you'll kind of tell me what you think about it, whether you think it's a good method, what you think about it, and then we'll kind of go into personal experience. So first thing first, you go to a club, a bar, or even like the shopping mall, and you meet someone there. In your opinion, is that a good way to meet someone? Could that possibly be a way, to the your future, your lifetime partner? Could you meet your partner that way, or that's just nah, they don't see you in your great light, so you wouldn't want to meet someone in that position?
I
Who would
think
like to go?
somebody who approaches me in a grocery store could be my future husband because the way I look when I go to grocery shopping is not my best. So anybody who's stepping up to ask me, it's not intentional. It's just, maybe I'm coming from the gym and I'm just going to pick up some stuff. So, I mean, it could. I don't have any preconceived ideas about how I meet a future dating partner at all. So I think within reason, any potential avenue to meet a person is a possibility to, a lasting relationship.
Same. I agree with Abby. I mean, if you're going to judge where you meet someone, could they not also judge you by the same thing? Like if you're like, oh, I couldn't meet my future husband at a bar, he could say the same thing, or she could say the same thing about you. I couldn't meet my future wife at a bar. That's also including you in that. So
Okay. All right. I agree. Like, yeah, I go to the store looking crazy, but that's okay. Like Abby said, if you step to me, because to me it's like key, step to me, you say a couple words. Yet I know you feel differently about that. Yeah, Yetini has no problem. Like, she's like, gee, she can step to you. But yeah, typically I want you to approach me. Okay, so next thing, how about
I'm sorry. Excuse me. What?
you don't like to step to a fella and say, hey, what's up?
When? Like, hello.
Oh,
Like
oh,
we're talking about now. That was years
oh.
ago.
You know what? I stand corrected. Please
Yeah,
forgive me.
I'm like, wait, who are you even talking to? When did I do that?
You never really stepped to anyone in the.
No, I have, but I meant like right now.
Now that's no longer okay. All
I
right,
thought
I'll
you
take.
knew that, Light, and
Nah,
I thought you knew me.
that's why we're having this conversation. This is a brand new, fresh conversation. It's 2022.
But
We're
also to
starting it fresh.
clarify,
All
I'm
right.
not
So next
saying
thing, in terms of meeting someone, how about if I introduced you to someone? No, no. I told you I have this great person that I know, and I want you to meet him, go on a date. So, AKA, that's like a blind date. Like, how do you guys feel about blind dates?
I'm agnostic. I must say some of the more enjoyable dating experiences I have come from personal recommendations. I personally am not one who's going to download a dating app and use that. I'm just not interested personally. That's purely my own. I'm not judging it. It's just not my preference. But I do enjoy a friend saying, "Oh, I think you should meet this person," because then that friend, he or she, is thinking, "I think you have something in common. Something there could be interest. You guys could vibe." Anybody whose recommendation I'm taking, I'm trusting that you know me well enough and that I can get enough background information on said person to then make a decision as to whether or not I do want to progress with your recommendation. I mean, some people have come to me and asked me to meet so and so, and I've said no, not interested, and others have given me a bit, and there's times I've said yes, but I definitely prefer that method than me, for example, picking up an app and swiping left or swiping right or whatever the mechanism is to try and find a potential partner. So I'd be open to that.
Italy, how about you? Do you trust me enough to say, hey, meet this guy and what you think?
I would meet, sure, if anyone I knew wanted me to meet a guy, I would. But the question was, would I trust you enough? Absolutely not. But I'd still meet them.
Whoa! Shots fired. You're paying no attention to her. That's how she is. She just likes to disagree with me. Because I know you better than you know yourself. You don't think I could find the person that I think kind of meshed with you?
No, I would not trust you at all.
Damn.
No.
Why you like I'm still taking about, like, why would you not trust me to at least give you a good candidate?
You know, to be fair, Lighton, it's not impossible, but I would go in with like very, very low expectations.
Whoa. Okay, you know, I'm just gonna leave you alone. We're just gonna go right back. We're just gonna roll into the app thing. Yo, ouch. So the thing is, apps. Yo, this is something I think everyone has. I mean, that's if you're single. If you're married, you have no business on the apps. But I think everyone who's single has dabbled in the app thing. I myself have dabbled in and dabbled. I dabbled all the way. Oh, you never tried? I dabbled all the way out. Like I just yeah. So it's like, in your opinion, like for apps. So Abby, you said you haven't tried the apps. Why?
Initially, it was so. I mean, you started saying, you know, yes, I'm currently based in Los Angeles, but I live in South Africa. And when I moved there, I thought to myself, "There's no way I'm going out to meet unknown people, whether you know in a public place or not, in this way." I just wasn't interested. And I've seen it, you know, work. I have a very good friend of mine actually met her husband on, I want to say it was Tinder, and they're married. And this is not like hearsay. I went to the wedding. I saw when she first swiped or swiped left or whatever you swipe, and you know, I saw this from beginning to where they are right now, and it's working out fantastic for her. I'm not that way inclined. I've seen other friends who also have just, you know, tried. I mean, they've downloaded Tinder, I want to say it's Bumble or something like that, and just different ones, and have not had any success. And it's not because of their lack of success, well, their lack of current success with the app. That's not why. It's not in my makeup to do that. I generally prefer that, you know, that bit more of a human touch in terms of I meet you organically, or a friend refers you, you know, or a friend said, I just prefer, you know, maybe I'm old fashioned, I don't know, but it's just not, I can't, at this current point in time, I couldn't see myself get to a stage whereby I think, okay, I'm going to download an app and then, you know, subscribe and everything else. It's I'm just not interested.
Okay.
I have tried apps many, many times. I dated, you know, one of my exes I met on an app. I've seen apps work for many people. I have lots of friends who are married and couples and have children with people they met online. For me, it's not for me. I don't love it. I keep trying, and then I'm like, I just don't like it. And then I'll say, maybe I haven't given it enough of a chance, and then try again. I just don't like it. It's just not for me. And also, I'm just while you can pick up on energy over apps, it's very possible.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm such an energy person. Like, there are people who I might say that I'm not physically attracted to, and then having a conversation with them, just a couple of words, I would be attracted to them, and that doesn't always communicate online, you know. So I think it's a great avenue. I think it's something that everyone should at least try to see how they feel about it. I mean, you know, if you're against it, like Abby's just like a hard no, then why bother? But I think it's a great experience to see and form an opinion on. It's just personally not for me.
Okay, so yes. So have I tried it? Like I said, I've tried it. Did I actually physically meet anyone? Nah. So what happened was, you know, when it got to the point where it's like, okay, chit chat. Oh, let's meet here. And that's why, you know, like I'm Nigerian, the voice starts here. He has a hammer in his bag. He's got, like, literally, I put back in the message that, yes, something came up, can't make it. And he got the message. And so I think once I did that, I was clear that, okay, maybe, I mean, I still didn't get off the app for a second, because like you said, Abby, I have friends, not just one friend, but friends who have they've got great relationships off meeting someone on the app. And so that's just, I look at it, but Yeah, and then in another avenue, you start chatting with someone, and you've been chatting for I don't know how many days, and it's still good morning, love. How you doing? Good morning, love. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're just playing like 50 first dates, and at this point, and I think the biggest thing you said yesterday, I think that makes me wonder and skeptical is like, on one hand, you can have this, I won't say great chemistry, but good rapport in the app, or even when you switch to texting. And then you meet the person and you start saying, in the name of Jesus, I bind any demon. So that's my fear, because it's like the person could be one thing online and on the phone. So that's why almost it just feels like meeting someone in person literally just kind of makes it's like do I or don't I? You're clear on what it is. Whereas if you meet someone on an app, you now have to give them like 45 minutes of your time to convince yourself that, don't be shallow. Let's keep going. Whereas, up front, it's like, okay, it is or it isn't. So I think that's the thing for me. So going into the next avenue, a matchmaker, aka first of all going to someone that you actually pay, that's going to screen and then give you candidates, and you kind of tell, would you guys do something like that, actually pay someone to do that?
I've never thought about that. I've heard it work for one or two people. Just off the top of my head, I can see the benefits. I mean, is that time I'm really going to dedicate to, do I have, a catalog of people that I can screen for myself? And, no, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation, or we'd be having a different conversation. But secondly, I'm just like, would I really give away good money to actually ask someone to go and do the work, legwork for me? I don't know. I'm yet to be convinced. And also, who is this person? How, how well does he or she? Then I've got to go to this person and present my best self and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm presenting to you. Go away and find somebody who will tick whatever boxes. I mean, whatever boxes you think someone like me would like. I just haven't given enough thought to really be able to. But at this point in time, just off the top of my head, again, I'd probably say no. Again, I like that more organic introduction. And I think a matchmaker is a step away from that. But I haven't tried, and I'm not throwing any mud on anybody who has. It's just something I haven't looked into and given any serious thought to.
It's not my cup of tea for sure. I don't feel like I need to pay someone to find me a man, not because like I can find a man myself or whatever. I just feel like I'm happy to meet a man who's paid someone to help him meet a woman.
To find you.
So yeah, you can pay to find me. Yes, you can pay to find me. But yeah,
I think I agree with that. See, I agree with that. Okay, so in that same vein, a matchmaker, but this time those dating shows, you all know that I review Ready to Love. Like, they actually televise you. Would you guys, like, if I knew a producer and I put your names forward and it was convenient in terms of time and work, would you guys sign up for a dating show?
Never. I can categorically say no. No. I'm not a fan of reality TV. And I would not put myself in such an environment whereby I am, there for people's entertainment. Hard no.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're there for our entertainment. Abby's like a hard no. Like, what, you'd like turn into like Jack the Ripper with a knife if they talk crazy. Like, you just don't want them to see the crazy end of you. So yeah, you wouldn't do it.
It's just no. Me, the different parts of my life's journey are not for people's entertainment. What I choose to share with people is, what I choose to share with people. And, being paraded like that is just not for me at all. That I can categorically say no.
And that's the beauty of it. You actually know that a lot of people go on the show, they don't know that, then they find out in the middle of the show that it's not working for them and they start spazzing out like they're mad. Yetine, what about you?
If you had asked me like 6 months ago, I would have had a similar reaction to Abby. And now I'm like, I don't know, I think a reality show would be fun. Like, it's an experience that most people don't have. And I'm open to lots of experiences. I don't know if I would think I could find love on a reality show. And I'm not convinced that many people actually think they're going to find love. But also, just in case I do a reality show about love, I really do think maybe I could find my partner on that show. It's possible.
No, I think okay, let me not say that, because I was going to say something. It's going to be a scenario later. But yeah, like, there's a certain type of emotional strength, I think, required to put yourself as entertainment to actually be vulnerable enough to maybe find someone. And I think a lot of times people underestimate the amount of strength required because they might have something they want to, hawk, and they want because the exposure, a lot of the show I review, which is Ready to Love, there is a good amount of national as well as international exposure that really helps them get what they want to get going. But in the same strength, I don't think they completely calculate what it will take from them. So it's like a give and take. But yeah, I mean,
I actually think it takes a lot of courage to sign yourself up for something like that and be willing to be judged by the whole world. And most people are not like kind people when they're judging people on TV. They're gonna have a lot of mean things to say. I'm
very kind with my judgments. I'm not one of them. Yitzhak, you know this. Like, why are your eyeballs going to the other
I think this is my cue to mute myself.
Okay, you know what? That's fine. I think I'm fair. Would I do a reality show? I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it because there's certain things that so do I think I have the mental strength? I think like everyone, all three of us, I do think I do, but in the same vein, at this stage in my life, I don't think I need to be entertainment for someone while I'm actually going on that kind of journey. Maybe years back, maybe I would have considered it. I don't know. And then, of course, with the kind of work I do, I don't need to walk into a room, start talking to a patient, and a patient talk about,
I saw you on Love Island or whatever else it is.
Right. I saw you kissing that guy. Like, did it work out? Or some like creepy dude would be like, yo, you look really good in that bikini. Like, just, yeah. So it wouldn't really work for what I'm doing right now. But would I have considered? I don't know. I might have. It would have been hilarious to see how it worked out. But yeah, this time it's just not for me. And I think also that the additional component there is I don't want to say it's not natural, but I don't feel it's natural where like if I'm feeling someone, like he's like, we've talked, like what I'm not gonna, because people keep whispering on these shows that people keep, they'll do like a smash and smash and run, like they end up doing all these things on the show. I definitely wouldn't do that. But even if I've had like a really good conversation with you and I see you talking to someone else, I don't know if I'd be able to, like, I'd stay cool, but I don't know if I'd be like cool all throughout the show with you, just because you have to exercise your options. You can't put your eggs in one basket. So literally up until the end, you have to be like juggling like at least 2 balls to have a good deal, or else you just end up, because a lot of these shows they end up being competition. So you end up being voted off if you don't have more than 1 egg. So I think that's why I couldn't do it. So
Lighter, it's interesting because you keep referring to it as being entertainment for other people, and you're missing that. What if it's entertainment for them? What if they're having the time of their life?
That's why there's a certain type of person that could do that, and I can happily say that person is not me. I mean, I have the mental strength to do it, but I'm not willing to exert that mental strength in that kind of arena.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to, showcase in real life. I wouldn't be juggling different kinds of individuals in that kind of regard, and then to now put this on international, or even national TV, or even just, I'm just not. It's just not me. And I wouldn't find that entertaining for myself either. I could do a lot more. I could do a lot of other things to entertain myself that's why I'm very clear about the fact it wouldn't work for me. But maybe for others.
Yeah. Isn't it? But yeah, you would definitely think you'd find it something interesting and fresh and new and exciting.
Oh, absolutely. I would.
I love it.
I think that would be just the experience of being in a reality show with other people is like the experience that it's there's just like a lot of people who don't get to experience that. It would just be fun. It's like, remember that time we were on this reality show and this happened, we saw this person, whatever. It would be a good time. I wouldn't be against falling in love, but I don't think that I would do it for fun more than because I thought I'd meet someone. Not that it's impossible, but I think it's more of a storyline. It's basically actors having fun than people really looking for love. And that would be fun to me.
Ready to Love producers, there are quite a few of you. When you guys are going to LA, please either let me know and I can hook you up with her, or you can check her directly. I am open. Look, I would get the exclusives. Like, I would be Ready to Love. If you guys are going to LA, please let me know. And I have this beautiful young lady here, LolaAjisafe, who would love to sign up for it. She will make.
Know what that show is.
Don't worry about it. I do. She'll make great TV for y'all. Yo, I'm going to talk to a couple of people when they come to LA. You can't change your mind afterwards, because So yeah, beautiful. All right, so we're going to go into this. I hope they're coming to LA. I hope you don't change your mind when that happens. I pray. All right, so we're going to kind of jump into, because we want to joke about it, but we also want to talk seriously. So this is now like a key word. Everyone keeps talking about it, dating with intention. I'm doing this with intention, blah, blah, blah. Yo, to you guys, what is dating with intention? How would you exercise it, going forward? Like, is that something you do and just don't call it that name?
I think that's a good question. And I think that it's important to do as much as you can with intention. And for me, that just means it's about the experience I'm having rather than the end result. I think sometimes we can get so focused on the end result that we don't actually enjoy the experience that we're having. And if we don't enjoy the experience that we're having, then what's the point in the end result anyway? So I will always address it with, if right now was my last day on earth, is this how I'd want to spend my time? Or am I just spending my time here for something that I think will happen in a year or 6 months or whatever? So that's what I would consider dating with intention. For me, it's just like, are we having a good time? Do I trust this person? Do I feel safe with this person? Do I feel like I can be myself with this person? And right now, is this enjoyable?
I'd have to jump on that bandwagon and, agree with you in terms of, I haven't gone out to a date and thought, I am about to walk into this restaurant and meet my future husband. I thought, I'm about to walk into this restaurant and, have 45 minutes or 90 minutes of just a conversation or, a meeting. I don't walk in with an end expectation in mind. So I've never walked in and thought, I'm about to meet Mr. Right or Mr. Wrong. It really has been about going to meet somebody and just experiencing that meeting. And sometimes I've walked away and thought, cool, okay, I won't do that again. Other times I thought, cool, I would do that again. But I haven't walked in with the end in mind. And at this point in time, the only intention I would have rather, is to enjoy, like be present in it and enjoy meeting this person. And whether it happens again or not, fine. That doesn't make either one of us, a horrible or, a terrible, unless he is an axe murderer, doesn't make either one of us a terrible person. But all I walk in with thinking is, I'm about to meet somebody, get to know somebody. And then everything else, you can think about at a different point in time. But right now I'm just having coffee, lunch, whatever. I try to live one day at a time when it comes to dating.
I think that's a beautiful breakdown. Go ahead.
So I want to add to what I said as well, because I don't want to give the impression that I'm always so just in the now and let's just have fun and blah, blah, blah. That's my intention. That's what I would like. But I'm also a human being and I also do want to meet a partner. So I absolutely get my head turned and imagine, what if this guy could be the one? And what if it's everything I ever dreamed of? And I imagine us, maybe getting married and my family meeting him. I absolutely do all of those things. And I do my best to be present in the moment. But yeah, I'm not a robot, so that's my intention, but it doesn't always, I didn't want to put across an image that isn't me, because I am in the now and I'm also in the clouds. So
it takes me a few more meetings to get my head into the clouds. That black heart family situation we talk about a lot, like it's, you have to earn the right to turn my head. Like, it's not just going to be,
I thank you. I'm just saying, and the reason why I wanted us to talk about this, because a lot of times I think people hear dating with intention and they think, oh, it's like, okay, yes, you're not just dating for today, you're thinking of tomorrow. And they literally go into a first meeting thinking like, oh, this is my forever. And the pressure of, okay, this is just solely of the goal of, okay, is this guy, marriage material or not? And that kind of takes you away from really just the experience. Who is this person? Getting to know the person is like, okay, am I just trying to scam? So then you're meeting the person with your representative. And so it really isn't authentic. And at the end of the day, I don't think you want to start from the end at the beginning. So that's why I want us to be clear that dating, to me, like what you're going, dating with intention really is just opening my mind for that experience. It may or it may not be. I don't know, but I won't know on the first date. 1, 2, it's not just about that person. It's also about me, because I want to date, like my desire for who I'm looking for, I should be that person as well. So it's like, if I'm going on a date, do I have, like if I say I want somebody to be a certain type of person, like to be authentic, to be honest, am I also coming to that date like that? Or am I just coming my representative and pretending to be somebody else? Because then, of course, then that person is meeting somebody else. And then halfway through, or from experience, halfway through, you're dealing with somebody else. And then, a couple of years later, you wonder how you got there. And so that's why I just want to be clear, both for myself and people thinking like that. It's like, it's also about what are you doing yourself? What kind of things have you created in your environment before you meet that person? Because you hear people say, well, nobody makes you happy. You all these catchphrases, nobody can fill you with joy, but it's true. Nobody can fill you with joy. Where are you before you meet that person? That to me is what dating with intention is. It starts way before the date itself. So at the date, it's almost like preparing for a show. You need to do all your preparation before the show. So when the show starts, you kind of follow whatever the thing you put along, but then you flow whatever happens. But if you just kind of jump into the show expecting the magic to happen without preparation, then you are definitely going to be disappointed. So that's why I kind of want us to jump on that for, just for a few minutes, but more importantly, kind of go into, all right, so we've talked about dating with intention. We talked about dating. We know that we're in the midst of a pandemic. Would you all be open to dating in this pandemic? And what kind of measures do you have in place?
I have the side of me that enjoys being at home has to some extent enjoyed some of their, and I mean, living in South Africa, restrictions were harsh. Like there were curfews, there were, to be out of your house at certain points of time, you had to prove you were, a certain type of work or anything else. So I very quickly became accustomed to being indoors and I was fine with that. Would I date in the pandemic? Yes, I would. But then I'm probably, Yethander's laughed at me a couple of times. I wear my mask everywhere and I wear two. So how much of a conversation are we going to be able to have in a Starbucks if we meet right now? I don't really know. Go for a walk in the park if you have a dog? Sure, we'll probably have a bit more of a conversation. But, seriously, I would. In terms of would I date in a pandemic, I would. But I am definitely very cautious about who I expose myself to at this given point in time. Not because just from where, how things have been in South Africa and, just even traveling, that's just how I'm inclined to be. So I'm not trying to see, everybody and run around and, meet tons of people right now. So that definitely has, I suppose, reduced the amount of social interaction I've wanted to have. So I definitely haven't been looking to, necessarily date in the pandemic, but seeing as how this is, as people are saying more and more,
it's stretching
our new normal.
Exactly.
We just have to learn to live in the situation.
Exactly.
I also have to adjust, my social behaviors in the situation and learn that, look, I've done the best I can. I'll keep doing the best I can to be on, the right side of health, and God willing, I stay healthy. And, I can't be subject to fear and think I'm going to hide indoors till kingdom come. So I do have to make some changes and be open to the fact that I can't wear my mask 24/7. And, that is how life is going to have to be. But I'm still going to be careful.
You know me, I eat my meals in the ED. Like mask, I can't eat it with I won't say I don't care, but I have to eat, right? So yeah, so I probably sucked up that COVID air. But the truth is, okay, go ahead, Yetunde. Let me hear what this is. The pandemic is going on. Like, what any things you put on yourself in terms of dating restrictions?
No, nothing has changed for me. Nothing affects the way. I mean, if anything was affecting my dating in the pandemic, I could not date someone who was just overly fearful and just we got to do all of this and all of that. And I couldn't do that. I mean, they probably wouldn't want to be around me anyway, to be fair. We both wouldn't, it wouldn't work. So
would you be okay kissing somebody during this pandemic?
Absolutely. Why not?
Would you require their vaccination card? I'm just like my good sis Sinead put here, I just want to know. And even that's not guaranteed.
Excuse me, sir, before you stick your tongue down my throat, can I see that you're vaccinated even though I'm not? Yeah, right. That wouldn't go that well.
Okay, I'm not going to call you an anti-vaxxer, but
you can call me whatever you want, Lola. You're my sister.
I do think, though, this pandemic makes an interesting time in that it definitely would be a topic of conversation on a date, just in terms of how, he's approached it, what his thoughts are on the vaccination and everything else. It definitely would be a talking point. And I see that somebody said a Zoom date would be great because, again, I'm in the safety of my own home. I'm enjoying myself. And we could have a great time. And I've done, I won't call them Zoom dates with friends, but, I've had plenty of long, DMCs, deep meaningful conversations with friends over Zoom. Yes, not the same as physical touch and everything else, but I'm not physically touching a guy on the first date. I'm not. So I could do a Zoom date. That'd be very
that's up for grabs now.
Yeah.
That first date touch is up for grabs. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It depends on what happened. It depends on what happened.
I saw someone said that before they went on a date, the guy asked for her vaccination card.
Yes.
That would be a hard no for me.
I'd be like,
if I was like,
here's
guys,
my card.
you're too scared to meet up with me if I'm not
I'd be like,
vaccinated,
yes.
we're not gonna work out. Like,
And so like that'd be like, if you ask, that'd be like a hard no and never again lose my number.
I would dry up real fast if a guy said that to me. It just wouldn't feel very like you and no. Mm-mm.
I mean, I okay
understand
with that.
the fear.
Right.
I'm not saying
right.
I'm not saying we're all afraid of something, all of us. I can't look down my nose at one person's fear just because I'm afraid of a different thing, right? That's not it. I just prefer not to lead my relationships with fear. That's just
Okay.
that's
okay.
Just
I mean, yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, this pandemic thing is not so much the status. So it's at this point for me, a guy I don't know. Would I require him to be vaccinated? I'm vaccinated, so I think I can require that. And also because I'm around it every day. So yeah, if you're going to hang with me, you probably want to protect yourself.
see, Lighton, I don't believe you. I don't think you would require.
Let me land. Can I land? Let me land. Now let me land the plane, okay? So, and the thing is, I'm definitely, let me not rule it out, but I definitely wouldn't be like, encouraging the attention of a 19-year-old. So if the person was around my age, then I'm always constantly exposed to it. It's like, okay, it's more for their protection than for mine. Because at this point, I walk around the ED like shouting, I'm immune, like really ignorantly, just trying to crack a joke, but I always joke that I'm immune. So if I'm joking that I'm immune, but I'm covered in it every day, it's like really, and I'm coming to you, like, don't you want to be, because it's really, don't you want to be protected? So it's more for the other person than for me. But I'm not saying it'll be a hard no, because things are evolving. We've got these variants, like, didn't they blamed Africa on the Omarion strain? Well, it's not Omarion, it's Omicron or whatever we call it, but Omarion sounds better. So at this point, I wouldn't say that, but I think it's the person's point of view and how they think that would really get me. Because let me tell you, like, and I know this is going to get Yetunde going, but I will have people who will come in sick enough to need help, sick enough to be kept in the hospital. And I'm just the objective, professional, what's going on? Why weren't you vaccinated? If I give you a treatment, it's the same science. And all of a sudden, then they come up with stuff like, I don't believe in the virus and I don't believe in the testing. Like you come up, like you talk like that, then we could just end the conversation. Or even after all of that, like if you say, I don't believe in testing, I don't believe in the virus, and I offer the same kind of science to help you. If you say yes, you lost my respect. But if you still stand hard in that no, even though you're about to die, I have a lot of respect for you. I'll hold your hand until you go, cross the pearly gates. So yeah, it's just the reasoning that will have me pick on or not pick someone, I think.
I definitely would be interested in the person. Sorry, go ahead.
That we judge people based on our own opinion. So if you don't agree with me, or if you don't agree with other people that I think you should agree with, you don't have my respect. That's weird to me. And how can we be united? We talk a lot about being as one, especially when we talk about God and Christianity, right? Isn't that what that's about? We talk a lot about being one, but then we'll say, if you don't believe the things that I believe to be true, then I can't respect you.
I think you misunderstood me. I said that if you stand hard in your no, like, I don't believe in the virus, I don't believe in the vaccination, and I don't even want the medicine you want to give me, I have respect for that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the flip-flopping. Like, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. That's what I'm saying. That's when I said, I will hold your hand till you get to the pearly gates. I respect that. So it's not, you don't have to agree with me, but you just have to be consistent. And that shows me character, because that makes me see that you're not just moving with the wind. You're not just flowing with, this is what let me go with this side. Let me go with this side. You're not, because now it shows me you have conviction. You have strength of character, that even in the midst of yeses, you're a no.
Okay, not to be contradictory, Lighton, even though sometimes I am not contradictory, like playing devil's advocate.
Please play devil's advocate.
But I think that we all need the freedom to change our mind when and if we feel like it. I think that so many people get stuck in, well, I said this yesterday, so now I can't say something different. So I'm just going to keep saying the same thing I've always said, when really I don't believe that anymore, because I don't want to look inconsistent. I don't think that the goal is necessarily to be consistent in your in what you say, but consistent to what's true for you, consistent to what's actually authentic to you in the moment. And yes, that usually means that you might be more or less consistent, but it's like, who are we to say what consistency is anyway? Like, we should be free to change our mind when we feel like it, should we not?
We should be, but for me, as a personal, I'm looking at someone's character. I don't have the time to start weighing, could it be this, be. As people, when we meet people, we have to make snap judgments. You have to make snap judgments. You don't have time to start, could it be, could it be. No, so I'm saying in that period of time, my snap judgment is if you remain consistent, I respect it. Now, not to say that it can't change or you can have your change of opinion, but when you meet someone, you make your snap judgments and then you can adjust them later. So for me, I can respect someone whose no is no. I'm not saying don't change your mind, because it's true in real life, you will change your mind. I change my mind too. But on certain things, on certain issues, at this point in time, I can respect you if you stand right there and say, yeah, this is how I feel. And that's how you feel. You've thought about it and you remain that. Can you change your mind later on? You could. But right now, I can respect you just keeping that no. That's all. We are required to make those judgments that we can't keep, or else we're just kind of, I don't have the time or the bandwidth to flow. Is it with you? I just need some clear, is he, isn't she? Oh, boom, end of story. That's how I'm going with it. What do you want to say?
And I think that's a really important, hearing that perspective is really important for all of us, because it just shows that the way that people respond to you and the way that people feel about you and the interactions that you have with people don't have anything to do with you, and it has everything to do with the other person, right?
Of course.
And sometimes we take that so personally, and we're like, oh, there's something wrong with us. And it's just like you just said, I don't have the time, or I don't have the energy. And a lot of the things that we choose to do, it's like we're all doing our best. We're all open to what we're open to. And instead of taking it personally, we can see that it's all, everything's a projection anyway.
Precisely. That's why they always say it's not about you, it's about them. But I think in the midst of whatever you're going through, you won't process it like that until somebody with some good sense actually or you can look at it after the fact and actually realize that whatever's going on, it really wasn't about you. It's true. But at times, you don't have the energy to keep weighing. At least for me, I know you might approach it differently, but for me, it's, there's points where I need to make snap judgments and keep it moving. I don't have time to say, okay, could they, maybe maybe later on I can play that. Maybe in a relationship, I can play that game with you. But if I'm meeting someone the first time, you don't have the time to I respect my time. I want to respect your time. If I start kind of just you're blowing in the wind. That's how I see you're blowing in the wind. So that's how I feel. You okay with that, Christine? Are you gonna play that?
Oh, you're asking me if I'm okay?
No, I'm not asking you. I'm done.
Okay, it sounded like you were. I was giving you space. If we were at home, we could argue about this all day. But when we're on YouTube, we want to pretend that we can let go of points and move on and come back to it when people aren't watching.
Why we can definitely pull out a dating point, but that was more like a off chance thing. But yeah, but I mean, we could always talk about the vaccine at the end of the show if there's time, because clearly you feel some way about it. Okay, so going into some of the conspiracy theories that I'm sorry, I shouldn't call it conspiracy theory because maybe not everybody feels that way. But I feel a lot of the time when we're talking about dating, when people talk to women about dating, when they tell them that they're too picky and they're too this, they tell, the ratio is off, that there are more women to men. And so you really have to, what's the rule? Like there are rules that you have to give in, and you can't get everything. Like what they call 60-40, 80-20 rule. You can't get everything. I'm not saying you can get everything, but at the same time, what you're not going to do is give me that sense of there isn't enough and want me to scurry and react in fear. What do you guys feel about this? When people tell you about, okay, there are more women to men, that one, you can't be too picky, and then two, maybe it's okay for you to share a man.
I will not ascribe to the idea of it's okay to share a man. We all come from a polygamous home, and I saw limited upside to that scenario. I wouldn't want to put myself in that scenario. For other people, again, sure, maybe, but for me, no. So I'm not going to encourage or entertain that. But in terms of that, male-female ratio, and when you're looking at university brochures or just, in general, even in the workplace, the ratio always seems to be, in favor of the men, like more men than women. That is not in the dating, in my dating. That's not going to give me a sense of urgency in terms of I better hurry up and date somebody quickly, because if I don't, all the good men are going to be taken. That's just
hold on to the mess you have.
Hold on to the no. And I think what being in certain relationships has taught me is that there's certain things I will not stand for. So just because people are telling me that maybe where I live in my city there are only 100 men and there 400 women, I'm not then going to say forget any previous experience or previous point of view I've taken as my stance, and I'm going to forego all that and just encourage myself to engage in relationships that aren't beneficial to me just because I want to be with somebody and I don't want to have to share or be alone. That sense of urgency or that kind of, rush is not going to push me just because people tell me or people try to say or people try to project that there is a ratio that doesn't work in my favor. I don't even know it to be true. So I don't ascribe to it, and it's not going to make me fall out of bed in the morning and think I better start dating today. I'm just not interested.
So was your question, are we afraid, or does that change our dating life because of the ratio?
How do you how do you feel about it, and has it affected how you're dating? Because one, it's like, okay, I feel like it's just almost a thing to put us into fear and to scramble, hold on to the mess you have, as opposed to saying, well, this doesn't work for me, I'm going to wait until whenever. And they just try and sell you the dream that, there's nothing else good coming your way, so you better hold on to that.
So first of all, I think that the rhetoric that you can't have everything you want is really harmful, and it becomes an affirmation. And that's when you start settling for things that you don't actually really want, because you're like, well, you can't have everything you want. Actually, you can have everything you want. And I think
tell us about it.
I think that that's true of romantic relationships as well. And in terms of the ratio, I can't say I've honestly ever thought about it. I'd be surprised if people actually walk around thinking about that. I've never had a conversation with a girlfriend where she's like, oh my God, aren't you worried? There's so many more women than men. And I'm just like, no, I've literally never ever thought about that. So
living in Nigeria, I think, is one thing where the culture, I guess it's easier here for us, where we don't have, the culture and your relatives in your face talk about, well, you are now X age, like where's your kid, where's your man? And also in a culture which doesn't, I mean, now at least here in the States it doesn't, but in Nigeria, even though it's still 2022, you get judged on the title you might have. Are you a Mrs.? Like, if you're not a Mrs. and you don't have a kid, then you're considered lazy, irresponsible, a failure, like those kind of things. And so I think what happens is that they almost unconsciously wear that as a coat and feel that pressure, even though there are a lot more people now than yesterday who are our age, by all intents, attractive, successful, reasonable. They're not crazy, not tick, tick, boom, but they are single. So that's where I feel like the pressure comes from, both from their family, from society.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, and I get that. Obviously, I get that from mommy a lot. And you said conspiracy at the beginning, and as you know, I am into many alternative theories that I don't consider conspiracy theories. I consider it truth that we don't talk about, and I think that it does actually feel like a conspiracy a little bit when you think about that, because how do I want to say this? I feel like I'm still ruminating on this. So keep going. I'll come back to it.
Okay, so on that point, though,
go ahead.
Please. I have been in situations, and funny enough, in Nigeria where, and I won't say the situation, but it was literally, when you get to this age, the number of men falls by this, as in there was a scientific, when you get to this age, the number of men falls by this, then the pool you have to look at, they have to be either divorced, they have K-leg, or they're widowers, and literally it was going through almost a mathematical equation of how, look, it gets worse for you the older you get, so you better really do something about it now. This one that you're 28, you're sitting at home, is it going to find you in your, and I was just thinking, really? Okay. But it's put, and I definitely think that it's like my girlfriends and I sit around talking like that, but I've definitely been in many situations where that has been put to a group of people as, this is your life and this is what's going to happen the longer you wait. But again, it hasn't given me, definitely at one point in time, it was definitely something that made me a bit fearful, but the older I've gotten, and I think the more exposure I've gotten and the more I've realized, I'm not going to settle just because I don't want, I know I have come across people and I know people who are in relationships and they're miserable. And I'm like, okay, I'm maybe not physically with somebody right now, but I'm happy. I'm not going home and, stonewalling and ignoring somebody and miserable all day long, or fighting, or I sleep well at night. I don't have headaches. Nobody gives me stress. And if you're giving up all of that to be with somebody,
that's
cool,
very important
for you, but I'm okay like this. So therefore, I'm not going to accept nonsense just because I want to fit into what, Nigeria's determination is of what I should be at my age and station in life. Nigeria can hold that. That's great. And, I'll get there when I get there. And nobody's going to force me into any situation that is not beneficial for me just so I can tick a box. And I'm thankful for the fact that I don't get that from family situations. But it definitely has been something I've seen people go through. And I think living away, and I'm not saying it's just Nigeria, but I definitely have seen it a lot more intently in Nigeria. I think living out of Nigeria has definitely given me the opportunity to escape that unnecessary pressure to be. I remember one of my friends from high school, she saw me after can't remember how long it'd been. And the first question she asked me was, after, hey, how are you? She said, are you still Miss Ajisafe? And I didn't understand the question.
Like,
I
yeah,
said,
what you
what?
ask him? Yeah,
As
what
in,
you want?
why not ask me if I'm married, Derek? Are you still? And when I said yes, the look on her face, like, oh, like she felt bad for me.
Yeah.
And I just thought, why not just ask, are you single? Are you seeing anybody? Why ask, are you still? Like, it was a bad thing. Like, it was a bad thing. And I've also seen people where they're in the same, in the same sentence as, oh, I'm gonna pray against sickness for so and so. I'm gonna pray for you that you're not single anymore. But this and I thought, why are you
Jesus.
comparing singleness with or combining the two together? As in this, but it's always been Nigeria where that kind of thing has happened. So I definitely can say I've escaped that pressure. But that, sorry, I'm waffling now, but
No, it's true. Like,
that
You
ratio
actually jogged me
definitely
what I was going to
forced.
say, so
That
continue.
ratio is definitely a lot more, put in your face a lot more in more traditional settings.
no, because if I'm honest, for me, before I dissolved the union between my baby father and I know many people came to me and whisper, the market's tough out there. You're not going to be single, or you're going to be dealing with like touts. And in my mind, I was clear that I'm okay and was okay to be alone here on out. If it came to that, what did you say? You sleep well, you wake up well, you're not beefing with anybody. Nobody's, because you know how it is. I'm sure you can imagine. Like, you wake up and you look at that person, you want to. Like, this is me though. I want to strangle you. Like, I look at a knife, I'm like I'm not going to pick it up and use it, but you just entertain and you fantasize about it. You fantasize about the closet being empty with his clothes are not, like, all these crazy fantasies. Like, why stress yourself out and have that? So yeah, I did have people approaching me and telling me those kind of things. And I would just be like, thanks for, auntie, thank you very much. Uncle, thank you very much. Yeah, it is what it is. So I was prepared to just sit in that little circle if it came to that, other than just, acting in fear and holding on to what I didn't want.
Exactly. And I've spoken about the bad relationships, but I've also got a lot of friends and a lot of people around me who have fantastic relationships. And I'm like, you also sleep great at night. You also, and I saw when you put aside some, you step away from some situations because they weren't good for you. Good. That's what I don't want anything that's going to impact my mental or my spiritual health because I want to be a statistic. I don't want to be in a relationship just for the sake of being in one. I want it to be, beneficial, and I want to be beneficial to that person's life as well. So I'm not going to, again, let that ratio give me any kind of sense of urgency that's going to force me into a situation that is not, beneficial for me. That's just
So
how I
I
see it.
genuinely do believe, Lyson, that that we are pushed this idea of everyone has to get married and everyone has to have children, and it is like it's not necessarily for our benefit. And I think that there are so many women and men who have come before us and they've done the whole get married and have children, white picket fence, and they realized that they were sold a dream, they were sold a lie.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, because how do you say I regret this whole thing, especially when you already have children? And I just know there are so many people who regret getting married and they regret having children, and they don't talk about it because it makes them look like a bad parent. And there are so many of us before we get to that point where we're like, have to get married, have to have children. And it's just like, it took me a while to realize that I was being sold a dream, and that's not necessarily, and that's not to say that there aren't great marriages and there aren't people who absolutely adore motherhood and it's everything they ever wanted, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that comes with that. Not every woman was even supposed to have a baby, right? Not every woman, like a lot of women have had babies because they thought that that's exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And now they have babies that, they're not really that into, and it wasn't really part of their it wasn't really what they desired, and it shows. So I think it's really important to know that, marriage and having children isn't for everyone. And we need to understand that it's not one path. There's no one truth. And thinking that everyone needs to do exactly the same thing as everyone else can be really super harmful for us.
I agree. And so that's that. Yeah. But although with you though, yesterday, the reason why I might have been one of the voices, because you're amazing with kids. I know everybody's amazing with kids. Yeah, that's why I might have whispered in your ear once or twice. So yeah, I'm guilty. But yeah, if you don't want them, that's okay. I'll just send mine to you. But yeah,
I mean, I really, really, really love kids. And some people at this point might say, because I'm 40, they might say that, well, you don't even have to think about kids anymore. It's not even a thing. That's not true. There's very many. It's still a thing. I remember a few years ago, I met Khalees, and we were talking about
Khalees, the singer?
Yeah, at Equinox. And she had said,
I hate you so much right now.
Yeah.
That's my girl. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Khalees, yeah.
I
was like, am I talking about the right singer? Yeah.
And I hate you so much right now. I really like her.
Keep going. At like 37, and I think at the time I was like 37, and she was like, "It's all bullshit. Don't worry about it. You'll be good." And she reassured me that there was always time. And my point is that I do love children. And children are a lot of work. And most people who have children, the thing that they say is, I had no idea it would be this hard. I had no idea it would be this much. And I think me more than most people, I do know, right? I do know. And as much as I know how hard it is, it's probably even going to be harder. And call me selfish, and I'm glad to be the selfish one. But I don't know if I'm willing to give up my freedom so that I can bring a child into the world. I like to up and leave when I want to leave. And so that's how I feel.
Wake up in the morning and go to the beach under a canopy and just be chilling with a bong. Like, what the hell? That doesn't sound like real life to me. It is what I hear you. But things always change. Like I said, people do have a right to change their mind. So if you call me like middle of the day, talk about, I'm pregnant. I'm here for you. You can come crash over here. If I got
pregnant, I would for sure have a baby. If I got pregnant, I would see that as a sign that I am indeed supposed to have a baby, and I would have my baby, and I would love my baby, and hopefully it would be the best. Not hopefully, it would be. If it happens, I choose to believe that would be the best. That was the best case scenario.
But you're not in a hurry for it to happen.
I'm not in a hurry.
Okay, so we're going to kind of slide on to the next thing with dating, like this dating rules. You all ascribe to any rules? Once you kind of tell me what you think, I'll throw a couple rules out there. You guys tell me what you think. But as of now, you're going in. Are there any kind of, what they say, if it doesn't do this, that, like, before I feed you with answers, tell me what you think. Any kind of rules in your mind that you think of or abide by or, agree with?
I don't really have rules about pretty much anything. So I don't. No, I don't have rules. I mean, I base things on how I feel. So I'm trying to think about rules that I used to have, and all of the rules that I would have made from dating came from fear. Like, I'm scared of what will happen if I get hurt, or I'm scared of what will happen if maybe he doesn't like me the same way. I want to feel like I still have my confidence or pride or whatever. All of it came from fear. And I know that regardless, whatever happens in a relationship that I have or an interaction that I have with a man, I'm always going to be great. And I choose to believe that everything that happens in my reality happens for my best case scenario, my best, it happens for my good, for the greater good, in fact. So I don't feel the need to make rules about anything. That doesn't mean that. I think it's important to say that when you don't believe in rules, that doesn't mean that you just put up with anything. Your soul wants the highest. Your soul wants your best condition, always. Your soul wants your best condition. But your conscious rules and your conscious, this is my best condition, is all conscious. And it's based on conditioning and rules and ideas that we've been fed. Whereas your soul actually knows what's best for you. And your soul never puts up with, your soul never wants to put up with you being trampled on. So I feel like when I'm connected to my body, when I'm connected to myself, I am making the best case decision each moment.
Okay. Abby, how about you?
Yetunde mentioned feelings. I mean, we're very different in that regard. Well, I'm not so much guided by my feelings. I think my feelings are far too fickle. So I don't look at things through that lens. So it's actually quite interesting and colors quite a few of our conversations. But there's definitely, and the fact that you guys also touched on it as well, because she said,
guys, they are twins. You see how twins can be so different? Like one's like, go ahead.
She said your soul wants the best for you. So, whereas I wouldn't say that in a sentence. I'm like, I have certain standards that I hold myself to. So I think in some ways it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just maybe we're verbalizing it different. There's certain standards I hold myself to. It's not a rule, they're not like I go and think, okay, so therefore this, and this is what I'm going to do. But when you asked the question, something made me laugh. I remember the biggest rule the girlfriends and I used to discuss was who pays on the first date.
Yeah, okay.
And I remember being told, when a guy takes you out for your first date, don't take your
Yes.
wallet. Don't take your wallet, because if he's come to your house and taken you out to your father's house, then he has to pay. He has to take you back home. I have never in my life left my house without my wallet, except for by mistake. And even then, the fear got into me because I'm like, what? I never like feeling like I'm
I'm at somebody's will. Yes, like yes,
not
yes.
at all.
I'll take it with me. It'll be in my back pocket, but it's going to be with me. Yeah.
No, I have always brought mine out, and it's not even a case of I'm doing this to show. Genuinely, I am a productive, and I'm a productive, and I'm financially okay enough to say, look, I'm willing to. I'm never gonna assume that you're going to pay, because what if he says, what is that? What is the double? Let's go Dutch or whatever it is, whatever. I just assume I'm paying my way. It's just, and I've always been a situation. Thankfully and respectfully, the gentlemen have been always like, please put it away, but it's not for sure. I genuinely, if the guy said, yeah, let's go, I would pay. I would pay my way. That's just, so it's not a rule. It's just something I do. But I don't necessarily have any rules that I think of when I go dating. My standards don't change. Who Abby is who Abby is, and that's you're going to see on that date.
So some of the rules I have here, you tell me what you think, because you kind of hit on them. So people say when you're dating, you're in dating field, you have to date multiple people at the same time. What do y'all think about that? Like,
I think it's a personal. I mean, I am kind of a romantic. So if I met someone that I was really into, I probably wouldn't be interested in meeting someone else. But if I was just dating people and I wasn't feeling attached to anyone, I absolutely would date multiple people. And what Abby said about paying, are you going to come to this in one of your other rules, or should I?
No, let's hit this right now.
Okay.
Hit this right now.
So,
hit this.
I wouldn't call the paying thing a rule. I am very much into. I very much, in a relationship, I very much want to be in my feminine energy. So I want a man who's mainly in his masculine energy. That doesn't mean that he always has to be in his masculine energy. And that doesn't mean that I always have to be in my feminine energy. For me, part of that masculine energy is a container of safety. And it feels like when you go out with a man, especially on the first date, and he pays for you, there's a feeling of like safety and like, okay, it's almost like, okay, you can take care of me, right? It's not necessarily the truth, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen, but that feels good to me, right? So, and we can say that that's feminine, masculine energy, that we could say it's daddy issues, we could call it whatever it wants, but
I like it.
But that's what's true for me, and that's what's present for me, and I'm very honest about that with men, and I have no interest in going Dutch at all. And if a man asks me to go Dutch on a first date, which has happened before, that will be the last date. And that's not, and I don't consider that, and you know what? You never know. I would be open to that not being the case, but I couldn't see myself still dating someone who did that. It just wouldn't feel like we talked about, like Abby said, that I'm all about feelings. And that is one of my favorite things about me and Abby, that we are so entirely different. I don't know if two people could be more different. And although we also do have a couple of things that are like not different at all. So,
when you're together, to be honest, when I see you guys together, you're like the same, but I know you're different. Like, does that make sense?
Really,
like you gel,
different.
like the chemistry. You're very different, but the chemistry gels.
Our energy, it's like
right. It really, you guys are like this.
Like grounded,
so like when we're all together, like it's how you guys group up. You guys group up, and then I think Yinka and OP group up. Like there's some energy syncs, and you guys sync. So I know you guys are different, but it's hard to really think about it then, because you guys kind of sync.
Wait, so Abby said something that so because of the feelings, like I am so all about my feelings, and there would be like a closing feeling if a guy asked me to go Dutch with me, and I would honor that feeling and I would close that chapter.
Okay, so as I go down the rules, but I'm just gonna say right now, I'm right with you. Like, my wallet is gonna be in my back pocket. If I have to bring it out, and the thing is, I say this both from experience. So I'm not talking to you because I have these lofty ideas. I'm not gonna mention his name, but we went out to this nice spot in the A, downtown, where the restaurant rotates. It's rotating. The food was stupid, but it's a nice ambiance. When it came time to pay, he gave his card. The waitress came back. Excuse me, sir, your card was not accepted. I didn't want any more disgrace. I quickly brought out my card and put it there. So it's one thing, these things happen, but the person in question never hollered back and said, yo, let me hit you up and give you what you paid for.
Okay, that's quite telling, because if his intention was to pay, and then yes, things could happen. It could have been a malfunction. You could have forgotten that something was coming out of out of his account. Anything could have happened. But his intention was to pay, and then to not honor that intention by following through and saying even a thank you and giving you back the money. I think that is rude, because the intention was, if the intention had been from jump, we're going to split the bill, and that's you've shown your hand. That's fine. But yes, in your situation, his intention had been to pay. As much as I say, look, I bring out my wallet, I've actually never had a guy say to me, yes, so it's maybe I don't ever want to be at anybody's, at anybody. I don't want, what's the word? I forgot what I'm trying to say, but I don't ever want to be.
Won't bear anyone's mercy. Like, I feel uncomfortable when strangers pay for me. Like, I'm not comfortable. I won't eat well. I won't order what I want.
But
I won't order the way I want to.
I'm not going to walk out and think it's a done deal and not carry my wallet. I don't like embarrassment. I don't like,
See, that's the thing. I didn't even wait for him. He didn't ask me before I brought up my card. Like, nobody wants disgrace. That's what I'm saying. That's why my card is always with me. I won't walk into somewhere where I do. Like, that's why if people invite me for a meal, even, and I don't know them like that. Like, yesterday, if you invite me, I'll eat and be comfortable. But if it's somebody I'm not sure with, I'm going to order gently, because I'm not comfortable just like, to be at somebody's, hey, yeah, I paid. Like, nah, what you're not going to do is talk about me like, I'm eating because of you. Because I'd rather lose weight than eat. Yeah, so that, so.
And even if he's paying, I'm still going to eat gently the way I normally eat. Like, for example, I don't eat lobster every day. I'm not going to also order lobster on our first
I'm not going to order lobster, right?
When I'm trying to break it's just not going to happen. I'm going to eat what I normally eat. And I'm, not because I'm trying to curtail I'm just going to eat what I'm comfortable eating, even if you're paying for it. My meal could be $13, it could be $35, it could be $300, but I'll eat what I'm comfortable. Yeah. Was it AJ?
It wasn't Ashlyn. It wasn't Ashlyn. Me and Ashlyn haven't met, but it was an Ashlyn, or maybe they're spiritual soulmates, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Let me leave it at that. Okay.
Lighton, one thing about the guy who you went out with and he didn't pay, like that would be a hard no for me. But it's true. So, like anything could have happened, and shit happens, and I would never hold that against anyone at all.
Yeah. But he didn't come back. He didn't double back. I say, hey,
Lighton, he also could have been really embarrassed. He may never have come back because he was embarrassed. That's a possibility. Not saying that you should date him, but before we write him off as a so-and-so type of person, he could have just been really embarrassed.
Very true.
Let me send you all a message in the chat.
I take it back. Fuck that guy.
That's how it was. Okay.
That guy needs to choke on a dick.
You're gonna mess up my algorithm. So this is what I say with clarity of mind, that don't do it.
Yes.
I'm such a good person, and then I'm like, no, fuck that guy.
I know, right? You're talking about some roses and spirits. Really, let's keep it real. So talking about other rules, people always say when you go on a date the first time, should you be upfront about, I'm looking for a real relationship, what you really want? Should you say that, or just kind of, because these are one of the rules they say that always come up. I guess first date, say what you want and what you're looking for. So if that's not what they're looking for, they can run. Do you guys believe in doing that, or maybe giving it time to see who they are?
I think if you're really, really clear, like it's a deal breaker, or if it's something like I'm polyamorous and I
Yo, she switched up quick. Like she wasn't spiritual anymore.
I told you guys, I have permission to change my mind.
That was quick. She was like playing devil's advocate. Yeah, he was shy. He was nervous. She's like, hell no. Burn him, put him on the stake. I'm sorry, go ahead, do what you're doing.
I already forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about, I've lost it.
You were saying that
I knew Abby would remember.
You were saying that about being open, as in terms of like letting people know what your intentions are.
Oh yes, yeah. So if it's something like, if you're polyamorous or something like that, and you want multiple people to be in the relationship, or you want to require threesomes every month or something, I think those are things that you should probably be forthcoming with. But who decides which things are? I mean, I guess that's a personal decision. But if it's like, if you know that you definitely want a relationship, or that you definitely don't want a relationship, and that also might be like helpful to say, not saying, and when people say that to me, I don't take that to mean that they're going to want a relationship with me, but their intention in dating is to be in a relationship. So I know if someone comes to me and says, my intention, I'm dating right now, I'm seeing a few people, and my intention is to get married. If I know that I have no desire to get married, then I also know that that's my opportunity to say, well, I think that we're looking for different things. So, you know, if you want to have dinner and have a good time this one time, let's do it. But I want you to know where I'm coming from, so you don't feel like you were misled in any way. And yeah, I'll leave it there, because there's so much more to say about that. Because it's also like, how much is your responsibility and how much isn't? That's all a personal choice, right? It's not on me to say.
Okay. All right. I kind of want to jump into this real quick, because I think it's come up in a few of the things we've said, and I really want to see how you guys feel about it. Like, do you guys feel, and I will also have you kind of tell me what you think being feminine is to you, because it's different for everyone. I think, like, my version of being feminine is completely different than them who is really girly and ladylike. I can't think of anyone like who's real girl. I can't, anybody who's really girly. I'm the opposite. So what is it for them? Probably different for me. So do you think that's key to getting the man you want? And of course, what is being feminine to you?
I think it depends on the question. I feel like saying, is this the key to getting the man you want, really depends. Because if the man you want is a little bit more in his feminine, then no, it's not the key to getting what you want. If you want a man who's, and some people, like, it's not a good or a bad thing. Some people want to be in a relationship where they're more the boss, and maybe they're also the breadwinner, and maybe they're doing a lot of things that we might traditionally say was a male role, whatever that means. So no. And for me personally, I want to be with a very masculine man. And masculine and feminine energy doesn't necessarily mean like it's a man and a woman. But yes, I want to be with a man who's very much in his masculine.
Okay.
So if I want to attract a man who is in his masculine, I also then need to be in my feminine, because you know, there has to be that polarity. A really masculine man is not going to want to date a super masculine woman. And the key to that is then, well, what makes a feminine man? What makes a masculine man? And that's all. A lot of people have different ideas about that. Like, when I think about feminine, I think about more of like a flow, and definitely more authenticity, like more honesty with where you are emotionally.
Okay.
I think that we come from a society that has really beat down emotions in women, and we have tended to move into more of a masculine structure. Like, the masculine cycles are like 24-hour cycles, right? Feminine cycles are like 28-day cycles, right? And we live in this world that's very much in a masculine masculine cycle. And even the way that we consider what's professional, it's seen as more of a masculine structure.
Yes.
So it just that's what I see as feminine and masculine. It doesn't necessarily mean there aren't just like straight things. It's more of like a feeling. So yes, for me, in being with the man that I want, it's going to require me to be more in my feminine, which is just about flow. And that doesn't mean, being in your feminine doesn't mean that you don't get angry and you don't lose your temper. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you're in your feminine, you're honest with where your emotions are, because you realize that that's your superpower too. We were never supposed to be just like men, right? We all bring something of value to the relationship. And the more we try and be like men, or the more we try and be like women, the harder it is for us to have that polarity that's required in the relationship.
Interesting, Chrissy. What is a masculine man to you?
What is a masculine man to me? Are you a masculine woman? Will you be willing to work with a masculine man who might want to be led and be? Absolutely not for me. I would not. I'd have no desire to lead a man. I have no desire to be in my masculine in a relationship. There will be times where I am. There's no. It's a flow, right? Life is a flow. It's not like stationary. You just stay where you are. So there's always movement. So I don't, it's not like I require that all the time. It's just more of like the core of the relationship. So for me, a masculine man, it's more of like a steadiness. Like, when you think about the masculine, it's like a masculine container, and the feminine kind of moves and flows, and the masculine is more steady.
Okay, cool. Abby, you want to hit it? Like, I guess, how you take this statement, in your opinion?
For me, I was actually sitting back and learning, because I've actually never thought of myself as overtly feminine. I mean,
Yes.
growing up, I was always told I was a tomboy. I was always
I've
tomboyish.
told everyone that all of the girls in my family are the thugs. So that's why I didn't mention any of your, as trying to think of lady, like I couldn't think of any, I didn't think of any of your names. So yeah.
Even today, I mean, I'm in the gym 6 times a week, and I'm not there just trying to tone my arms and get, you know, and you know, get some abs. I'm a weightlifter.
She's going to knock some of y'all out.
And any man that is going to be with me needs to be confident in the fact that I lift. And, you know, my hands have calluses, for example, because I lift. And that's just one example of the thing that I do. I don't think that makes me any less feminine. But, you know, if a man is expecting to see me wearing, you know, pink and skirts all the time, and I mean, I wear skirts as and when, but, you know, if he's expecting, if he has a very rigid expectation of what a feminine woman is to him,
looks like,
I would fall outside of that expectation, because there'll be points in time when I won't fit into that. Doesn't make me less feminine. I think I'm, you know, a woman, and I think I look great personally, and I fall into the traditional role of woman, whatever, traditional role of a woman. But I've never thought, oh, I've got to play up a certain part of me to attract a person. Maybe I've been lucky to not come across a man that has, you know, felt that or made me feel like I need to do that. It's never even crossed my mind.
Gotcha.
And whilst knowing that, you know, I more on the side of being tomboyish, I haven't changed that even as I've gotten older. I just never felt the need to. And anybody that would make me move away from what is me, that's not going to work, because I could only fake that for a certain point of time, for a limited amount of time, and then I'd fail the both of us. So being overly feminine, not something I think about. It's just, and I don't think I'll ever play up that side of me to attract a man or keep a man. It just wouldn't work.
Okay, so
Abby brings up a really good point there, because when you think about being in your masculine and feminine, it's not really about playing into anything. And when we think about being masculine and feminine, we think about very specific roles. And it's not necessarily about the roles. It's about the energy with which the roles are carried out, right? It's about the energy that the person is being. So, for example, me, the last couple of years, I've been actively easing more into my feminine. And it wasn't about like playing into that. It was more about letting go of the armor that I was wearing, because I had this armor that I thought that I needed to be tougher and more abrasive and like stronger, because I had to take care of me. And I thought that that's what it looked like. So this role of like moving into more of like a surrendering, allowing, that it's about, yeah, absolutely. That was more about releasing what didn't serve me any longer, rather than like, you know, it's like when you're in your feminine energy and you're authentic to that, which I mentioned earlier, it's more like if you say something, I'm like, listen, that really hurt my feelings. Like I'm really just honest with where I am. Whereas if I was more in my masculine before, and I'm not saying that this is about masculine family, this is for me, I would have put up an armor and pretended, yeah, I'm tough and that doesn't bother me, instead of being authentic with where my emotions and feelings are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that would dampen my reaction, because you people call me black heart, but if you said something like, oh, you hurt, I would stop for a second, like, oh, I may not say anything else, but if you came out rah, 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 then I'd continue going. But if you said that, I would stop me like, yikes, that wasn't my intent. Like,
that was key. What you just said was key. That's the power of feminine energy. And that's where we get so confused and mixed up. We start like, we learn to yell and scream instead of just being honest about where we are without trying to use it as a weapon. We're just like, really, this is where I am. And it's so disarming. When people are authentic and honest with what they're feeling in the moment, it's disarming. That's feminine energy.
So I'm going to list a couple things, and you tell me like how you feel about, you know, this, you know, being part of being feminine or feminine energy. Top of the list, it comes up all the time. You know, she's a woman, she has to be feminine, blah, blah, blah. Submission. What you feel about like submission, and, you know, how it relates to you as who you are. Why are you sipping on your cup, yo?
That for me comes further down the line, because I'm not willing to submit to somebody who I don't trust.
Okay.
And I won't be able to pick that up in, you know, in the first couple of dates. I mean, do I trust that you can lead me, and I'm submitting to that? Ultimately, when I'm married, I will submit to my husband. Yes, that is as a Christian woman, that is what I believe and I will do. But that husband has to earn that right in my life. And I'm not just going to tie myself to anybody just to become a statistic and then you now follow, and I have to follow you down this road.
Handle you, right?
No, I'm not.
Have you sleeping under a bridge?
So that for me takes a while to get to, especially because I'm such a I'm not a romantic, so I don't meet somebody and start, my head start. Nope, I'm looking at
Your head
with
won't be
very
turning.
clinical. It takes me a
Gives.
while. Like I don't know why yesterday I spoke about the other day, but I was saying that some of the men that I've had long relationships with, I wasn't necessarily attracted to them on the first date, and either for our first time of meeting, I walked away thinking, cool, might never see them again. I wasn't. Maybe it was an age thing, but it takes me time to get to that point where I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm trusting you. Now I'm letting you in again and again and again. And now I'm willing to follow your lead. That takes me a very long time. And the older I've gotten, and now that I've been in relationships, some not so great, I can now say, I also now know that in a dating relationship, I can also say this far and no more. I'm not doing it anymore. Like if I see that that I do not trust your ability to lead, I can stop at any given point in time because we're not married, and I can say this is where I leave you because I don't trust that you have my best interests at heart, and I'm not doing this anymore. I don't have to follow you blindly. So, yes, it's something I am willing to do in a relationship, but you have to earn my trust that I'm going to give. I'm not just going to do it blindly. It's too detrimental. I've seen it just become too detrimental to people, and it's something because ultimately it is my goal to let my husband leave the home. My getting me to that point whereby I'm comfortable enough with someone to be like, cool, okay, this is going somewhere. It takes me a long time, which is why I'm not rushing out there.
What you say, Christine, about submission? Yeah.
Again.
I said, go ahead, sis. Do you? Don't let me interrupt.
Submission.
Because I heard you clear your throat. Hard.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I love having conversations with people where we just have like completely different opinions about things, and there isn't one. There's no
That's the
one.
Beauty.
Yeah, it's.
Because
I think it's
whoever's
really important
watching
to say
it
there's
can
not
identify
one
with
right.
different.
100%. So the thing is, I feel like submitting in a relationship is similar to faith, right? When you talk about faith and even how it's explained in the Bible, right? We got to believe first rather than thinking that, okay, show me and then I'll believe. That's not the way faith works, right? And that's the same with
you believe
submission.
first.
When you enter a relationship and you're like, you show me and prove to me that I can trust you and I can believe in you, and then I will submit to you. Everything is about energy. And when that's the energy, even when that's not what you say, a lot of the things that carry on between us are done in silence, right? Our words are like 7% of communication. So that energy is seen and felt, in my opinion. And when you come to that, when you come to a relationship with like that, it's felt. And then the opposite thing happens. That's why so often we see older men go for younger women and we think that they're just perverts. It's not about that. It's this energy of a younger woman who comes with, I trust you and I'm a puppy and I trust you now. And I'm willing to submit to you now. And then they're like, and that's how it happens. It's not like, and that doesn't mean that it happens all the time, but sometimes we're waiting for someone to show us something, and it's something that they're not even necessarily consciously aware of. It's something that they respond to in an energy. So when you come with an, I already know that this is going to happen, when you come with an expectation, right, like it's an energetic expectation, that's how it happens again, in my opinion, instead of trying to have like it's a relationship where everyone's now trying to subconsciously prove to each other. Why do women like not having and being, do you grow? I'm not sure I understand.
The question.
I think that feminine energy feels really unsafe to women. Women have come up with like a lot of violence, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and it feels like often in the hands of the masculine. So over the years, women have become more and more armored, and we've got this, I'll take care of you, I can do everything just as good as you do. And it's come from a place of protection. So it's like, that's my opinion.
Let me jump on that for a second, just to answer Tiffany's question. And I think what she's asking us, like you were saying, is why do women like occupying the masculine energy as opposed to the feminine energy? And do you grow up that way? So what I think, just in my humble opinion, I think the way life has gone, or the way things have evolved, in that women are now in positions where if they don't do it, it doesn't get done. You see lots of women who are single parents. If it doesn't get done, then who suffers? The child, they suffer. So they've literally, I don't want to use the term forced, but they've had to sit in that role to get stuff done. At work, it requires masculine energy. Somebody comes in, there's a code, I have to shout different commands. Do this, do that, start CPR, do this, do this. That's masculine energy. So when you want to get things done, you enter that space. Do I want to live in that space permanently? No. But sometimes you do. You come home, things have to be done. Has blah, blah, blah done their homework. There's no male voice to use that bass and say, I said. You have to use that deep voice and say, I said. So it's because you've literally been forced to do those things because nobody else is doing that. Now, it's a different situation if there's somebody beside you who is a man who has the bass, but you are still needing or wanting to do that. That I can't speak for that, but I think for a lot of women, the case is that that's where the situation has led. So they felt the need to occupy that space. Because at work, I remember those times during my training, we had a code come in and a guy, one of my male colleagues, same year as me, was trying to talk while I was talking. Like then the masculine comes up like, what you're not going to do is, because you wouldn't do that to another male colleague, but you're looking at me like I'm a woman, because right now we're at work. We're not in and I wasn't in a relationship with the person anyway. We're both at work. We're equals at work. So what you're not going to do is look down on me and say you're going to talk over me, whereas I'm the one running it. So in those kind of professional spaces, you must occupy that masculine energy to get stuff done. So we use it as a tool to get stuff done, but do we want to live in that space? I don't think so. So I think that's why we do that, Tiffany.
So I have got to run. The last thing I'll say about that is, I think that it can feel like we've been forced into our masculine energy a lot. And I don't think that we have been forced. I think that we are forcing, and that's how we end up into masculine energy roles. Like when we're pushing things to a certain timeline that we want, that's when we move into the masculine energy, the pushing and the forcing. So oftentimes it like feels like we've been forced into something when really it's like we were forcing our way into something. And that's when it feels like we've been forced. I can be more specific, but I'd probably on the side. You actually let me text Lighton to shoot. You know what? It's okay. We'll talk about that part later. But I have to go. This has been a great conversation. Thank you for having me, Lighton. Thank you for sharing your opinions and feelings and everything with me, you and everyone else, all the people in the comments. This has been fantastic, and I will speak to you all soon.
All right, Christine, I should get to run. We'll see you later. But thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. So Abis, you
Yes.
and I, we're the ones left. So kind of breaking it further down, when I was talking about feminine energy, other than submission, because that was the first one I started with, there's they want to be, they want us to be sensitive, to be sweet, to be gentle, warm, all those features. I know you said that for you, that you don't necessarily think you've changed, so to say, or nobody would expect you to change. But how would you see yourself occupying a feminine space if you were to define what it is for you?
It is that nurturing. I mean, so I know we've spoken about a man looking after you, but at the same time,
Yes.
I think a woman also looks after the man as
exactly.
well.
Yes, you have
so
to
I think
nurture.
it's
Yes.
And the same thing with submission. I spoke very much about being a wife and submitting to my husband.
Yes.
And the Bible says, wives submit to your husband. But
yes,
it also says, husbands, honor your wives. So whilst it's not saying submit, like, bend down and, kneel down to her, it is saying that, the man should honor and respect what I have to say and what I'm bringing to the table. So in some way, shape and form, both of you are having to look out for and nurture each other. And definitely in my role as a woman, I am, and again, maybe I'm more traditional. I have no issue with coming back from work and, making dinner, looking after children, everything else. But in the society we live in today, it will have to be a two-way street, because what if I'm coming back from work late? Is this man saying that he's going to sit there and look at me and, leave the child crying or everything else? But at the same time as well, I also have to understand that what if he comes back from work late? He can't also, so it's a partnership. And that's why for me, on a first date, I can't tell you, anybody I'm meeting for the first time, my intention is just to get to know you. And that's the only intention I have at this given point in time. Because for me to trust and say, I'm going to, reveal what my intention is. Reveal sounds like a terrible word, but for me to say, I'm going to, suddenly throw my intention at you and let you know what exactly I'm expecting from you. I don't even know you that well enough to do that just yet. So let's get to know each other. This can end up being a great friendship. It could end up being more. But given how much I'm expecting further down the line, I definitely have to get to know a person a lot better before I'm able to just say, this is everything I'm expecting from you.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
I'm quite traditional, so I have no issue with, playing those traditional gender roles. It doesn't offend me in any way, shape, or form. But again, I'm looking for someone who's a partner with me and will say at points in time, okay, Abby, you can't do it today. I'll do it. I've got you. Where ultimately we want our house to run properly. We want our kids to be well looked after. So let's do it together. Let's not make it but ultimately I will take it on as my primary role. This is what I'm here to do. But let's back each other up and let's let everybody be happy in this household, not running crazy because one of us has said today I'm tired or I'm coming back home late. Let's work together.
No, I agree with that. I mean, even to go back to the submission, since I didn't really answer it, I agree with you. It is something I feel like is required in a relationship, but I can't just walk into it like childlike and say, here you go. No, you're going to have to create a certain space of safety for me to be able to do that. And in the same strength, it is not even a one thing. We kind of both come together because you're submitting one to another, not just one submitting, the other one's kind of telling what to do. So yeah, that submission thing for me also requires, you're going to have to be a certain way because we've seen so many women just kind of, like I said, you submit your way all to underneath a bridge, or you hear about stories where women have been with men who, and clearly masculine men who take control of everything. They're doing everything and they're just occupying that role. And then they just get literally, the carpet pulled from underneath their feet because he said he's done and you need to pack out in blah, blah. And where does that leave you? Like, so which means the vetting, you didn't really get the vetting process done. That to me is what it is. So that's why for me, when you're talking about submission, it can't happen like, it's not going to, I can't even force it because it won't be safe for me. I can't do that.
I think submission gets a really negative rap. Like, it's great that women are empowered. I mean, I'm a woman. I love the fact that I have a voice, and I thank God that I was born in this generation and maybe not like 200 years ago when I couldn't speak up and, you really did have to be some element of a doormat for your husband. I thank God I have the privileges I have as a woman right now. I can vote, I can drive, I can do everything else. But I think that there is such fear that comes with the word, submission, that am I going back to what it was before, whereby I have to be a doormat and everything else? I think that sometimes people have taken the negative too far because, again, if you are providing a safe space and I'm also providing you a safe space to come home and be, your best and sometimes your worst self, it comes together much more easily, or it's safer to do. If ultimately I trust and I know that your intention for me is always good, as my husband's or my boyfriend's intention always should be, then it's easier to do that without thinking, oh, he's going to take me for a ride, he's out to get my my card number, my money, my this. I mean, yes, those things do happen, but it's not always the case. And ultimately that's where we also have to be careful. And that's why I said it takes time for me to get there. I'm not going to trust a man I've been on 3 dates with and submit.
I'm like, so how you want to, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. All right. To my next question, as you go through the process, for you, looking, if you're thinking about it, what are deal breakers for you? And what are the traits you say you would like in a man?
Deal breaker, dishonesty. And also I've started maybe too late in life did I start doing this. I started watching how people, or very specifically, how men I was dating would treat people around them, like especially their domestic help.
Boom.
I remember looking at this one guy screaming at his cook, and I thought, okay, this man prepares your food. Yes, he's a worker in your house. Yes, you're paying him a salary, but just basic human. I mean, and what the person had done wasn't. I didn't see what the screaming was for. I think it was something about put the juice back in the cupboard, not in the fridge. I can't remember. It was something that didn't need that level of, didn't need his blood pressure that high. And I just thought, really? So if you're going to scream at him like that, then what are you going to do to me? I just don't, I think just how, how people treat people, people around them is so important. And I started paying a lot more attention to that, I think before I ignorantly thought, oh, it's different because I'm occupying a different role. No.
Right. No.
So that's how you treat that person is ultimately how you could treat everybody.
It's going to come back. Yeah.
It's going to come
back. Yeah.
I can't have that kind of screaming at my child, or it's just not conducive.
I imagine.
So that kind of horrible behavior, because you think someone is, at a lower station in life than you, is also unacceptable. So I said dishonesty, looking at how people, and again, for me, I'm a Christian. So ultimately we have to have that common ground. I remember many years ago, I had a very close friend who was a Muslim, and he broached the subject but the two of us were honest enough to say, I need to be with somebody who has the same faith as I do. And he said the same. And I thought, well, it's not going to happen that I'm going to convert. And it was the same for him. So it was just a very polite case of, and I remember talking to Yethan about this, and she couldn't believe that we decided that based on that only. And I said, well, it was easier because otherwise I'm not going to fulfill a need for you. And then what if I'd said, okay, we'll both manage, I'll be a Christian, you'll be a Muslim, and we'll just manage it like that. But then what happens if maybe further down the line he comes home and he has a second wife, which is entitled to do under Islam, and
Yes.
I'm now like, are you joking? That doesn't work. What did I think was going to happen? And I say that, but my parents were daddy Christian, my mother Muslim. It worked for them. But again, like I said, polygamous home. So there are already some things that she had to accept that I won't accept. So that for me, my faith is it's not even a talking point. And it's not a case of, religion, like let's go to church on Sunday.
No.
Are you
Right.
truly a Christian? Like, am I seeing that in your behavior?
It's
And are you seeing it in me as well?
Right.
As in that for me, it's just it has to be the common ground upon which we build our foundation. Because what the Bible says, unless two agree, how can they walk together?
They can't.
It's just
They can't.
let me just save us all stress, and let's
Let's not
my
even
friends, and my friend, we're
begin
still
it.
great friends today. I've gone on to see him get married. I went to the wedding. I went far into Nigeria for the wedding. We're fantastic friends, and I'm almost thankful that we were able to have that honest conversation and say this can't work for us, because it saved the two of us lots of heartache and stress. So I think also for me, I'm not saying that my husband has to be Jeff Bezos, but
Yes, yeah.
I would like him to be able to stand
doing
financially.
something. Yeah.
I have no issue with being the higher earner, and I would like to believe that any man I'm dating this day and age wouldn't have an issue with me being that either. But don't then come and think, oh, you earn enough, so therefore I'm going to sit back and you're going to finance my dreams. No.
Right.
We are going to be a 2-income household, and doesn't matter who's earning, X or Y, but we are bringing something to the table together, because otherwise, how are we able to build together?
Yeah.
And there might be points in time when, some people let's say, for example, he's been working outside to go back and do an MBA, but there's a goal to get back to work. Sure, that's right. I think I can do that, but not that, I've got this dream and it's going to take X percentage of your salary and you're going to look after everything up. That's no.
Yeah. No, particularly at this stage of the game. Like if we're talking about someone who's doing that and you're in your 20s, okay, maybe early 30s, but now like, dude, like, yeah, who were you? Like, yeah, I know people find themselves late, but that's kind of late. Yeah, I think so.
And also another thing for me is I need to know that as a man, you're accountable to somebody. Could be your pastor, could be your parents, could be a set of responsible, but somebody who thinks they can't be accountable to anybody, who thinks they know all the answers and they are complete law unto themselves. That for me is a bit of this term has been thrown around so much lately, but a red flag.
That's true.
Because then who can talk to you? Who can reason with you?
Nobody. You're right.
And that's becomes problematic for me. I'm not saying have 20 advisors and 20 mentors, but I am saying have people that you can
Who do you respect?
Exactly. And who do you respect? Who do you hold yourself accountable to? Who can call you and say, Mr. Man, you're acting out, or Abby, you too, you're acting out next. But as in who can help grow you? So those kind of things I definitely expect to see. And like I said, I have to be attracted to the person, but for me that's not that's not initial. Like I said, some men that I've gone out with, it wasn't the first thing. At the first date, I thought, cool, fine, great, but it definitely grew. So I'm not, which again is maybe why I don't like dating apps, because the first thing you're looking at is somebody is the appearance. I'm judging purely based on aesthetics and maybe some lies you've told. Maybe they're truths, I don't know, but something you've listed about yourself, and that's just not enough for me. So maybe in that regard, I would agree with Yesterday said she likes what she has used them in the past, but maybe that's where the energy side I'd agree with comes in. I can't judge enough from looking at a screenshot of your life.
Because it's true. I have dated some ugly people, but it was their energy. But of course, in the app, that kind of already takes out, because you're not necessarily going to pick somebody who is ugly on the app. But in real life, if somebody's ugly, like someone like Biggie, but they've got like great energy and there's a great vibe, then you can overlook the ugly because you're enjoying the vibe. But on the app, you're just, So it's really hard to be I've dated some ugly people. We know this. So yeah. But yeah, it's hard to do that on the app. And for me, it's all about energy. So if I was talking about myself, what are deal breakers? Man, somebody who's a liar. I really don't like a person who's a liar, because it's just, and it comes up in so many, it comes up as dishonesty and just the way they carry themselves. Because if they lie in one face, they're going to lie in another. And I think there was one time when you brought up like how you treat you. I look at how you treat other people. I remember there was one time I met this guy for dinner a long time ago, and we're at the restaurant, and just a regular. It wasn't even like a. It wasn't. It was just a regular. It wasn't like a expensive. He was. That's just calling the waiter.
What's wrong with excuse me? What's wrong with asking the waiter's name the minute he comes to something else? Or who's our waiter going to be, so I can say, where's Guy? Where's...
And that's why I pay attention to the person's name. When the person comes to me, I look at their name. Yeah. But just the way, oh my God, it was so yeah, that was the last time we met up. So yeah, it's definitely how they treat people, how they carry themselves. For me, energy is one thing. It's like, who are you? Who are you in that space? Yeah, some people can tell you that. And I think another important factor for me is like, I mean, I won't say necessarily you have to be a Christian at this point for me, but it's like, because there are people who I can't be with someone who's an atheist, because like, how do you reconcile things in your mind? Who, like you said, because it's like, who are you accountable? Who do you turn to? Like, yeah, it's like, or it's like, because you just believe, Darwin is going to answer. Like, I don't know, like you feel like molecules were smashed together. And so that means there's nothing to keep you in line. There's no, what's your moral fabric? Like it just can't work. Because I do meet people who are atheists. They don't believe in God. They just believe they need to be good people. But being a good person, what does that mean? Like when you have to put it in context. And so if you're not really putting in context of, do we have similar values and similar beliefs? It's like, how can it work? Like, because we're coming from completely different. Yeah. So that's the thing for me. It's like, I don't have a lot, but it's like a lot of the time it would be, I've dated someone who was Muslim before, and when we did okay, and this is how I told him that time. I said, if we got married, and this was me telling him that, I'm not for the kids rolling a mat on Friday and heading to church on Sunday. Like, they're going to be Christians. This is what I said. And he looked at me like, so if it came to that, but now that I'm not even thinking about children, so if it came to that, that was definitely a sticking point for me, which is why I was okay, maybe I need to really have kids who are Christian, because for me, I feel it would be confusing for a child. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to study in school, but in terms of practice, it's hard to practice the two. You would have to pick one. Yeah. And I don't want to start off, because what if I'm Christian and my child is, it's hard, because I don't really understand Islam much. I respect it, but I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. So it's like me and the kid, like, what are we, like, if my kid decides to be a Muslim, like, how am I, like, if I'm teaching corrective lessons, I don't understand Islam. So it's like, I can't really teach you. So that's why it was important for me that the kids I had would have to be Christian, so that as part of the teaching, I'll be able to tell them what I taught. So yeah, that was a big thing. But now that I'm not thinking about kids, could he be Muslim? I could be Christian. We could, but even then that would be within certain confines, because like, depending on how he feels about it, a certain way I dress, a certain way of things, it will be hard. So that's what I said.
Mm-hmm. Sorry to interrupt you. When I said, it has to be a Christian, it's not like I have like a checklist of he must have gone to church. No. Do you believe in God? Do you have a relationship with God? Have you accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior? Let's have it. Because I have seen people who, I don't like this terminology, but people say baby Christians. Maybe they just became, born again, or they just started their walk. Yes. I have no issue with that, but ultimately are you on the right trajectory? Like you said, I couldn't imagine holding a conversation with someone who believes in evolution, because I just don't. So let's have a point upon which we can grow and build together. And then something else I didn't mention was also someone who is disinterested in looking after their health is a deal breaker. I can't be and begging with you to drink less, to smoke less, to eat healthy, to exercise. I just can't. I'm not looking at. I don't want to be looking at someone who is cruising towards having some kind of cardiac events with their lifestyle, and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. And
now you become a nurse, but now you now become a nurse. At this
I'm not
stage.
saying you have to be at the gym with me every single day, but I am saying care about your lifestyle, care about your health. Your body is the temple of God. Treat it as such. I'm not saying don't drink, but I am saying look after your health. Like, ultimately, whatever you're doing, is it beneficial for your health? Think about it. Yeah, so that's very true. There's someone said their mother, but that for me, that falls under how they treat other people. I cannot imagine. I mean, I'm 40 years old. There are things I still will never say to my mother. Just
ever in life.
So if I'm looking at a man,
my room and close the door.
If I'm looking at a man who is screaming at his mother, I'm like, I'm out, because I don't know how you do that.
Yeah. It's true. Even in that same strength, with, I guess at my stage now, would I be meeting men who have children? How you treat your child? Do you pay attention to them? Do you interact with them? how you even
look
relate with
after
their
them.
mother. Right, exactly,
Yes.
to look after them, and not just by sending a check. Like, are you showing
Actually
up?
in
Are
the
they
yes.
calling you? Do you know about this child? Do you know about their schoolwork? Like, that you're really involved, even if the child doesn't live with you. How involved are you?
Yeah.
That tells me something. That's
Very
like,
important.
if you're not doing those things, then maybe I don't want to be around that, because I can't respect that. And that's the beginning. Like, and I think most men will tell you, women, yeah, we want respect, but we want love more. But men, they require respect, and then love comes second. So if you're doing certain things, if I can't respect you, then that means I'm not loving you. And that's because it's really how you receive love, the way you perceive love. And a man will perceive love as respect first and then love. And I can't respect that. So it's like that. If you're not going to participate in your child's life, then let me save us the trouble, because and it's not like I'm going to say things to you, but I can't respect you, even the way I carry myself, the way I look at you. It's already, these are the kind of things you probably want to kind of see. I would learn probably within the first few days. Like, because if I ask you questions, you have a kid, and there's certain key questions I ask you and you can't really tell me, or you never talk about helping your kid with homework or going there. Like, I know you can't be there every day, but if you're not participating, then let's not even waste each other's time.
Yeah.
Because that to me is important. I don't need any additional thing. Oh, but somebody's here saying that they don't want a mommy's boy. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that too. There's a balance, but because I think a mommy's boy would also display feminine features, I think. And for me, I know that I want someone who's occupying their masculine energy most of the time. I know there's a switch, but yeah, I want him to occupy that masculine space most of the time, which is why I would be comfortable leaning into my feminine space at home. Let me ask you, have some scenarios that I'm going to run by you before we start closing out. Okay. So, first scenario. So, let's see. So, there's this show that I follow. I report on. It's called Ready to Love. So, there was this lady. The guy, initially she was they were dating each other, but like I said, there's always more than one person. So he had two people on the block. So say Lady A is Tiffany, Lady B is Zadia. So there's like dating going on between two of them, and so he seems closer to Lady B, who's Zadia. He seemed appear in the beginning he was kind of closer to Zadia, and then all of a sudden things kind of switch up. Maybe Zadia's energy switches, so he starts turning more to Tiffany, and they start getting closer. Zadia, Lady B, notices that, oh snap, this guy's not really giving me the attention he was giving me before, and he's spending time with this other lady. They're doing things that we didn't do, and so she comes up to him. And instead of really communicating in such a fashion as to, this is what I perceive, she comes up to him in a very aggressive manner, but not just being rude. She actually touched him and literally kind of smushed him in his face. Yeah. What do you think about that? And it's in front of cameras.
Yeah. The only good thing about that situation is for the gentleman who has got to see this woman at, in one of her least best scenarios, to understand, look, this is potentially what you're dealing with if you go with this lady. Can you deal with somebody who cannot verbalize how hurt she is at this point in time, or verbalize how she's feeling, and she has to turn physical to get her point across?
So she occupied her masculine energy.
Yeah.
Boom.
I don't see why we have to use, in that situation, first and foremost, he hasn't promised you marriage or anything. And also you're getting into it, you're on, this is why I called it entertainment. Ultimately, you're all options until, I've never watched the show because we don't have that. But ultimately, as far as I understand it, you're all open game until a final choice has to be
made. Till the end, exactly.
And it is to your benefit to have multiple people on the go, because I suppose it makes you more interesting or entertaining, and you get to see people with different kinds of chemistry.
That's how the game is played.
That's for what them. People want to see.
That's how the game is played.
And you are, for lack of a better word, you're entertainment at this point in time. So I think someone like that woman hasn't, like the Bible says, count your cost. She hasn't understood, look, this is this could happen to me. Am I ready to deal with it? And then dealt with it properly. Speaking to him, saying I'm hurt, understanding what could have gone wrong. And I'm not saying she should make any changes based on, look, he's fine to grow and develop feelings for, a better chemistry with this other person. It's completely open season in that situation. But getting into his face and getting physical, no. I think it's again a great opportunity for that man to say thank you, but no thanks, and walk away, because I haven't promised. The man hasn't promised you anything, and you're pushing his face on.
She smushed his. What? what? Like what?
So if the cameras weren't there, she can now slap you.
And this
she
is
can now
in
be
it.
slapping and everything.
That's what I said. And this
No.
is in a dating scenario, meeting, like even if you're married, like I just
No. I think you can get your points across much better without having to turn physical.
By communicating.
Yeah. And I'm one who I've been told at times to use my words. So maybe I'm not, but I cannot think of a situation whereby I'm going to get in somebody's face and no. And again, for this person, it just goes back to, I'm pretty sure the producer would have told you what the rules of the game are and how to make it. So why she ever thought she had the right to get into somebody's face and physically push? No, that's unacceptable behavior.
All right, so somebody just told me this, and I'm gonna roll with it. So another scenario, same show, happened the next week. A couple, so they've kind of same thing. The guy has 2 people on his roster. So one of the girls on his roster, we're gonna call the girl Shiloh. We're gonna say Miss S, whatever you remember. And then the other girl in his roster, maybe not so important because she's not really gonna come up. And so in the beginning of the show, same kind of scenario, he's really gelling with this first person, Shiloh. They're really gelling and they're getting on and they're doing good. And so by all accounts and purposes, we thought they were going to end up together. And then Lady 2, who had a seasoned, let's call her name is Sydney. She had a seasoned game. She comes in and swoops in and takes the guy's attention. So it so happens that what occurred happened off camera. So we don't really know what happened. So it's left for everybody to give their own interpretation. So they said, they were telling us on camera that once they went out for drinks at a bar or something. And then she was asking him that, who is your main, like, tell me who do you really want between the 2 of us?
Shiloh or Sydney?
So Shiloh is Lady 1, who now feels that his interest is being pulled away. She pulls the guy and they go and have a date off camera. Okay. So it's not recorded. Nobody can see what's going on. They go have a date off camera and she's talking to him. They're having a couple of drinks. I guess there's loud music and she's trying to force him to choose one of them. And this is the premise of the show, is that you're meant to choose at the end. You're not meant to choose in the middle of the season. So she's trying to force him to choose, either choose her or give her an answer. I guess that's what she's saying. So she tried to force an answer out of him. And so she got annoyed the fact that he wouldn't choose. He said, maybe whatever he said, he didn't give her an answer. So instead of using that answer, his body language or lack of giving an answer as an answer, she persisted, and somehow things got a little irate, and they both admitted to talking loud and saying stuff. And then it continued outside to a point where she got annoyed with him. And so this is in DC. So they're in downtown DC, which is meant to be a rough neighborhood. And then she walks off into an alley. She's intoxicated and she's mad and walks off into an alley. And the guy gets her. I don't know, like I said, Cam wasn't rolling. I don't know if he lifted her up, put her over his shoulder, he dragged her by the waist, dragged on the floor, kicked off her. I don't know how, but she said she was forcibly moved back to his car. And so the next day, she's reporting it to us and to the cameras, like she felt violated because he touched her without her permission and she wanted 5 minutes apart. So there have been there are 2 camps. So I won't say, like, Rena, you have no camera. In your opinion, what do you think? Like, how would you make this interpretation? Because right now she's making these claims that, no, he didn't hurt me physically, but he hurt me emotionally. And so there's some people who are supposing that, okay, well, so there's the train of thought. Let me tell you the train of thought and then you tell me what you think. So there's a train of thought where, so for me, it's like I'm looking at both sides, kind of, okay, on one end, I understand why the guy did that. I understand him wanting to save you. Maybe, I can only say maybe he could have done it differently. Maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. On the same strength, the lady, the fact that, because she says when he touched her and moved her, she got triggered and she went back into, the times it now reminded her of all the abuse she went through. So she has a history of abuse and trauma. And so the minute he touched her, it literally just, she felt triggered by her trauma. And so the thing, it messed her up. And so it just kind of, from that point on, their relationship was like, messed up, so to say. And so she's so harmed by that.
Okay. Wow, that sounds very unfortunate for both parties involved. And again, bearing in mind that I only have the context you provided me with.
Yeah.
I think it's a real shame for both of them because she tried to force his hand by, as I understand it, as you've said, and I'm sure the producer would have made clear to them, this is what you do, you pick at the end.
This is season 5, so it's not only the producers, but you go into it, so you know what the rules are, right? You know how it works, yes.
So to now try and create a scenario whereby you're trying to force his hand to make a choice, it's off camera, there was always the risk that he was not going to give you the answer that there was always the risk that he was going to not give her the answer that she wanted.
That you want,
and
right?
she ran that risk by creating this environment whereby this happened. That's one thing. So that's on her. Them getting irate, the two of them both deserve. I mean, the two of them, they could have dealt with it much better. But emotions get heated and everything else. And I can imagine someone trying to force me into a corner I'm not ready to be forced into, and maybe I also don't respond as best as I want, and especially if there are drinks involved. And I don't drink, but hey, look,
right?
I'm not a frequent drinker. Sorry, so let me say that.
Right?
So anything could have set either one of them off.
Yeah.
Now, him moving her back to the car, because the minute you said that, I was thinking, yeah, I can understand why he'd be thinking it's a rough neighborhood. You're walking, you're a woman, but what am I meant to do? Leave you here? Maybe picking her up and putting her back in the car. He's thinking, I've got to just get you out of here and home.
Out of this scenario, right?
So at first, I was thinking, oh, okay, I can see what he was trying to do, but I didn't know that she had this history of abuse and
trauma and abuse.
It's really unfortunate. And it's a shame that it ended this way, because I feel that even if they got annoyed with each other, it could have ended without her being triggered in that regard. And I have a lot of sympathy for people who are, affected by trauma.
Have been abused,
the whole situation is just unfortunate, and it could have been handled better. And I don't want to lay blame at her doorstep by saying, well, you shouldn't have, orchestrated this date off camera because, but at the same time, I pseudo understand that. Look, but he was trying to maybe
help you,
protect you, and help you, and would he have really understood, or would he really have known? If his intention was
he's
to
just
protect
reacting.
you,
He's
just thinking it's downtown DC. You're a woman.
Let me get you to safety.
Yeah,
and you're intoxicated.
Get you to safety.
Yes,
I don't know either one of them, but would he have known her history? And so that, I mean, it's so hard to say in the situation, but
exactly,
really unfortunate. And again, another reason why you will not find LolaAjisafe on reality TV, because this kind of thing is unnecessary in life.
It's literally the way you've put it, like, because I reviewed the show, is of course, I'm talking, I was narrating, but literally that was my position. Because on one hand, I feel for her. She had the history, the trauma, she got triggered, and almost that trauma that triggered her did not allow her to, she was intoxicated, to not have to recognize that even though the guy is mad at her, he's trying to help me.
Yeah.
On the same hand, I see why he did that. Like, I get it. But at the same hand, so it's like there were no winners in this. But I think what is unfortunate, and what I've been seeing in the internet spaces and internet webs, is that everyone is directing the blame on her feet. Like, the only reason why she's complaining about what happened is because she's mad she didn't get what she wanted. And I don't want to say that, because I wasn't there.
Yeah. That's very
like for me, it's always like, you know what, you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's another theme that I see. I wish I was a man here to answer, but that's another theme I see, that a woman, we judge each other, we make each other guilty before we make each other innocent. But that happens less with men, because, like you said, this whole situation was unfortunate. Like, the whole thing, I wish it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
I wish, but it's like, there were no winners in this game. Like, if I don't know, is there a possibility that she could have been being vindictive and was trying to be manipulative and play him out of the game and smear his name? It's a possibility, but by the fact that I can't prove it, I don't know that. I have to kind of leave it in that space and be like, I can be objective with that. But I know what I see that I think is sad is, like, a lot of people are just like, oh, she's a slag. She just wanted what she wanted. And that, whereas there could be some truth, because for me, because there's so many victims out there that people don't believe. I don't know her story. I don't know it to be true, but because I know there are many victims out there, I don't automatically want to say, you know what, this woman's a liar, she's a cheat. And that's the thing. And I find that it's not necessarily men saying that, it's women saying that. And that is part of the thing that I see which comes into dating. The fact that women, we find the need when we're competing with each other, it can get really catty. And so who knows?
Yeah, there was clearly no winner in this situation.
There was no winner in this situation. That's the thing. It's like, and that's the thing. When you said you won't catch on it, like, do I feel I have the emotional maturity? I do, but I don't need. Why do I want to subject myself to those kind of scenarios? Because those kind of scenarios will play out. The guy I might be feeling is pecking on somebody else, and I know it. And not only do I know it, I'm going to see it on the screen.
And you're a human being. Like,
am I the one that killed Jesus? Yeah, I'm a human. Am I the one that killed Jesus that I need to see? I don't need to. It's not that serious.
Emotions will be stirred, and I'm not interested in.
So all right. So next scenarios, we've dug out these scenarios. Would you ever consider arranged marriage? Like if we sat down, she said no, she didn't let me finish. You're like, nope. Yeah.
No.
Why now?
I know best who I am more likely to gel with. And I don't think, I mean, look, I trust you as my sister. So if you said, oh, Abby, I have a friend and I think you should, I think you should meet with so-and-so, and you give me a bit more information, I might go along.
Yeah.
My mother also, she knows her daughter. She's known me my entire life. She never has, but could she? Maybe I might meet the person, but you're never going to meet, or you're going to meet this man once or twice, or maybe even 10 times, but you're going to marry him. That's the end goal. No, no, that is definitely not for me. And I have the agency and the free will to choose who I want to be with or who I don't want to be with, and I'll exercise that right. It's a privilege I have being a woman of my age, living in this generation. I don't have to go through that. So why would I tie myself to that? And I think it's a point of privilege that I have free will to say yes or no to situations, and I'm not going to have anything forced down my throat. Especially not a marriage. I mean, gosh, that's your whole, you're now tying your life to somebody. It's arranged.
Yeah, it's like there's even a show, Married at First Sight. I haven't started reviewing it. I don't know, where they meet their spouse
at the altar. Oh yes, that they do have in South Africa, but I haven't watched the show because again, I just thought ridiculous. This is just ridiculous.
Like you're playing with that union and that vow, just like that.
No, see, and things like that can only happen because in society, people have denigrated marriage to just being something you can now. I mean, I remember they were calling for they auditioned for the show.
Yes,
and I just thought society has now made marriage a thing that you can just do away with any which way, because ultimately they're probably thinking, what's the downside? You annul it or you get divorced. And I'm like, that was never the intention for marriage. So why have we now reduced it to a game show? It's so distasteful to me that I haven't even and again, I'm not throwing shade at anybody who's been on these shows, but it just, for me personally, it's no.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying arranged marriage. I know that for some religions it's a thing.
It's right.
Again, I'm not disrespecting that, but for me personally, as somebody who is not living under that religion, or not living in a society whereby that is the only option for me, or even an option, no, it's not something that I would entertain.
So I'll tell you like this. I remember when I was still doing pharmacy, I think I was still finishing pharmacy school. And I was in the hospital, and one of the pharmacists who was working at the time, she was at work. She had a checklist, and she was on a phone call. And so she was Indian, and in their community they give them candidates to vet. So she had this long list, and at the time I was laughing inside. Like, she's like, "Do you smoke?" To be honest, in retrospect, I feel there's some benefit to that. Now, would I go ahead and just meet someone at the altar? No. But if your family can vet maybe 3 or 4 candidates for you, because marriage is more than just love and attraction. And it's like sometimes your family or whoever's doing it can know you pretty well and be objective. Because Indians, because they do the same thing. Like, they look at the family, they look at this, so look at all these things. But also they understand that the individual matters. So they now give them like maybe 5 names. And so she'll now maybe talk with 6 of them over the phone and narrow it down to a couple, and they'll meet. And if when they meet, they feel like there's something there, that's it. It's on and popping. Mm-hmm. Like, she's like, okay. See, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I think it's a good idea. Would I do that? I don't know if I couldn't do that now. It wouldn't make sense now. But would I want to do that for midday or something? Like, vet some candidates?
I would definitely want to meet somebody that my son has decided have met multiple times over, have had, one-on-one interaction with somebody, a young lady that my son is going to spend the rest of his life with. Absolutely. Would I maybe have met a young lady and thought, oh, you'd be nice? And, I could do that, but I wouldn't force it upon him and say, look, this is the option. Right. And if you don't do this, I'm going to cut you off the will. No, not at all. He also has free will. He also has, choices and things that he would like. So, I would like to have some input, that he would listen to when it comes to time that he wants to be in a relationship. But I'm not going to force his hand or try to overplay my hand. No, I don't think that's what I'm here for.
Okay, so back down as we come down to the close. Let's see. We already answered the scenario, because I was going to ask you if you met this man. I think you answered that already. If you meet a good man, but like no finances, zero finance, like nothing in his pocket. Like he's just coming
What's
into
the
your
end goal? Like, what is it? What is the? Are you able to articulate it? Are you able to articulate it and execute it without my balance sheet?
See, that's the thing, right? Yeah, because he's just coming like he's a good guy, but he's coming like his pocket's flat. Like, yo, what's up? I feel like this stage of the game, but like I said, it depends on where you are in your life. If you're in your 20s, then you can be with somebody on potential, but in your 40s,
No.
yo, like you're literally looking for trouble at this point, because why is this person such a slow starter? What happened? Like there's a story, and am I trying to start playing like nurse, keeper, catch up? Like, no, because at this point in the game, you're trying to build on what you have, not just start from scratch. So I think that's what, because if you asked me this 10 years ago, I probably like, oh, that's okay. But now it's just like I don't have the energy to start up. Like, it's at this point, starting up is yeah, no.
I would rather not, if I'm perfectly honest. I really would rather not. But if I meet said man, but he hasn't, like I said, he's able to execute and able to look after himself and do everything without my input. Like, we're not starting a relationship and suddenly you're expecting me to be, funding your dream. It could potentially be a conversation. And could I see, or do I believe the end? Like, as long as you're not telling me you're going to be selling ice to Eskimos, maybe I believe in your plan too. I also have to see and understand it as well. So yeah.
All right, cool. So we're now coming to the close. So if we just give a summation. So hopefully there's, some young ladies or even young men watching this live now. So they haven't seen what we've seen. So like, as we conclude, what would you like to, their takeaway points? Yeah, how would you close for them to, take away from this conversation as a conclusion, in your opinion, in your words?
Don't be rushed into a relationship just because you think you don't have time on your side. Relationships happen best, I think, organically, and how that organically starts is different for everybody. For some people, it's from a dating app. Others, it's maybe a parent, a relation, a friend, and enjoy it. Enjoy getting to know the person, because I think it's very important that a relationship starts with a friendship. So on your worst day, you can still think, I adore you, I love you, I respect you.
I love
if
that.
there's a friendship there, it's easier to have that, as opposed to if there's nothing there that you've built upon, it's too hard. It's then too easy to see only the worst of that person. So enjoy getting to know somebody, enjoy this time of your life, and don't feel tied to any of the the false timelines that society gives us. You don't have to be married by 25. You don't have to have had all your kids by 32. You don't have to have it all figured out by 30. Enjoy yourself and really just enjoy getting to know the person that you're looking to spend the rest of your life with, and and grow together and respect one another.
I love that. I love that. Just to add on to what you said, because you made a great point there, just kind of going through it. I think as you're approaching the dating process, yes, there's a pandemic. Like, it really does depend on the person. Are you going to require a vaccination card or not? Okay, that's on you. That's on you. But I think a lot of people have been hearing this date with intention. I don't want them to think that they should walk into a date saying, okay, is this my husband? This is not my husband. No, just go in there, clean slate. Do you guys gel or not? Is he interesting? Is he funny? And what are you coming to the table with? I don't mean come with money, but the thing is, like, where are you in your development? Are you whole? So are you approaching that table whole? Because a lot of times you attract what you are. So you may want certain things, but if you're something different, you're really going to attract what you are. So if you're not quite whole yet, or where you need to be yet, go and work on yourself before you start trying, because you will end up attracting what you are. Unfortunately, that happens to us. So I think that's what you need to really think about, working on yourself, and then start that whole thing. And I think, it's just like, because there are lots of games and strategies. I do think you have to be strategic, because a lot of these, when you look at these shows, it does show that we always have this phrase, don't be thirsty. Like, you can be hungry, but don't be thirsty. Like, don't be desperate. Like, calm down. You have home training. Don't be desperate. That's why I always say, God bless the one who has her own. Yeah. You've got your own. Yeah, you don't need a man for that. And so when you're walking into that, I'm not saying you don't want a man, but you don't need him to finance your lifestyle. So that now opens up the table for you. Don't feel pressure. So don't let that kind of financial pressure or society pressure make you make a decision that doesn't make sense. Also with those stats, because I hear people say all the time, there are more women than men. So, your chances of this, so you have women walking around thinking crazy. And so that's when they start acting crazy, snatching guys, doing this, undercutting each other. Because I feel like women don't have this togetherness thing. And so that we start undercutting each other, particularly in these competition scenarios. The guys have this real easygoing energy, and the women are all uptight, and it's because we've been lied to. We've been told that there are not enough men. You won't get what you want.
And
you can get exactly what you want. Don't let them lie to you. Patriarchy has told you a lie. I'm not saying that you can just be anything and get what. No, you have to come to the table with a certain thing, and then you can attract what you want. But yeah, just don't believe the lies. Just go there with an open mind. And then I think what happens too is people don't have these kind of conversations with their big sisters, their cousins, their aunts, with their friends, because then they'll start telling you things they've been through. Like me telling you about the example of me having to, like, at that time, like I said, I don't like disgrace. I put my card down real quick. As soon as they came, I didn't let the conversation. Like, he didn't turn to me and ask. I didn't even let that happen because I need any more noise when this restaurant's going around. Like, you come there because you know you got money in your pocket. Don't come there and start trying to figure it out. Like, okay, do I have enough? So I didn't let that happen. But it's like, okay, to me, it's like the fact that I didn't double back and you don't have that convo. It's like, So it's like, to me, yes. And the thing is, the key is, what do you want? If you're the kind of woman that wants to run, because I feel some women do. Some women want to run a relationship. If you're the kind of woman that wants to run things, then by all means, stay in your masculine energy. You will get a feminine man and then be okay with that. But if you're a woman who truly wants a man who is in his masculine energy, you must understand that you must put the masculine away when you're at home. And like, it's almost like it's a flow, really. So you kind of flow with him. I think most importantly of all, and I don't know if we'd say that enough, that yes, you love each other, but the truth is that's why it's important to really respect the person you pick, the person you choose, because if you don't respect him, he can't receive the love you're giving. If you say you love him and you're like, there was one of the contestants on the show who they kind of voted off together. She was so disrespectful to him. Like, yeah, she's like, call him names. This is the man she wants, and by all accounts, she likes. But she would disrespect him both. You know, I don't clearly in their private time, but on screen, on camera, in front of people, like blatant disrespect. It's like,
not ideal.
If you disrespect someone like that, really, like, can he really receive the love you're giving? But if he hasn't arrived, by the time he does arrive and becomes himself, he won't continue to take that disrespect, and he'll remember that and spawn off. So it's important to really, you know, love a man the way he can receive it. They say women want to be loved. We want to be loved a certain way. Like for me, I love open the door. Open the door. In fact, come and meet me and open the car door. Like, that just makes me feel special. Open the door. I just walk and stand. Come, you say you want us to go out. Come pick me up. Come pick me. Like, don't say let's go. We're going to meet. I'm not trying to meet you anywhere. Meet you. Nah, G, come pick me up. We walk to the car. Come to my open. Already getting big points there. So it's little things like that that I think have gotten lost in translation because we've all been go, 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 that I think haven't been working for us, and we literally have to stop, turn around, and come back to that.
But I think things like that also, I'd say this just before you end. Yeah. Things like that, I think, again, come from a relationship. Like a friendship, rather.
Yes.
Like if you're in a friend, you know, a man who is your friend will know that about you. Whereas for me, for example, I might not mind other things. I might, but sometimes expectations are unmet because you don't know that person well enough. Why? Because there's not a friendship there that hasn't been built. You've rushed ahead and done other things. And I'm not putting time. I'm not one to put timelines on, you have to be friends for X months time before you progress.
Yeah.
That's all for the two people involved to understand and to decide what works best for them. But I do think that a friendship as the foundation helps take away a lot of that unmet expectation, because he will know what Lighton likes and he will know what Abby likes, and will not try to give Abby what Lighton likes or Lighton what Abby likes. So he's paying attention. Yeah, it's paying attention, and that comes again from a friendship, and that comes from spending time developing. Just again, it's no race.
Yep, and that's it. So guys, I hope you guys got something with it. Abby, we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sis.
Now, you know what? We're going to have more of these because these are conversations we ordinarily would have. So, guys, if you don't know, I think I may have mentioned it. I think somebody said what. So all the Ajisafes in total, I always say 12 and counting, because somebody could show up next year and say that, look, my name is Ajisafe.
They won't.
I don't.
No, I won't open the gates.
Yeah, tough nut. So it's like, there are 12 of us, 6 boys, 6 girls. And so when we get into the same spots, it's fun. And so sometimes I try and bring that energy. Yeah, tad loud. We're all eating suya. It's 3 a.m. So I try and bring that energy into the internet space so you guys can get a feel for all the kind of funny conversations we have. So that's why you'll see me kind of put the Ajisafe thing and say, okay, I'm going to have the girls, I'm going to have the boys. I know the boys are going to see our conversation now and they want to have their piece, but that is what it is. So of course I will be inviting the girls back again with another topic. But Abby, thanks for coming. I appreciate you for showing up.
Thank you
and
so
being
much
here to the end. We're going to do another one. So everyone, guys, it's been real. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate you. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye. Let's see.